It is 10:01. Good morning from the 104.5 The Zone Studios. I'm Lucas Panzica. The Titans made some moves on Wednesday, signing quarterback Tim Boyle. It is the 30-year-old's eighth stop in his NFL career. The team also signed veteran wide receiver and returner James Prochet. The NCAA tournament resumes tonight with the Sweet 16, beginning in the East region. BYU and Alabama tip off at 6:09 p.m. in Newark. Maryland versus Florida, Arizona versus Duke, and Arkansas versus Texas Tech make up the rest of the matchups. You can hear all the action courtesy of Westwood One right here on The Zone. And it is opening day for most teams in Major League Baseball. The Braves are at the San Diego Padres. First pitch is at 3:10. For all your foundation repairs and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
I open the show rundown today, and the first thing that I'm greeted with is who's stopping this quarterback room? Yes, the Titans. They've signed a quarterback. What does this mean? Does it mean anything? We have 3 hours to talk about it. Good morning. Welcome in. We're happy to have you. 615-737-1045. The number, if you would like to participate, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch. Also at your disposal. If you would like to live stream the show today, Lucas, Burt, and me with you until 1 o'clock. Good morning, boys.
Good morning. What does it mean? Tim Boyle to the Titans. Will he be the starter if they were to trade back from the number 1 overall pick?
Guy, you better hope not. He's 0 for. He's 0 for 5 as a starting quarterback. Yes, Tim Boyle is the newest addition to the Titans quarterback room that now has Will Levis, the former second-round pick, and Brandon Allen, as Lucas has described him, the most backup-y backup in the history of backup quarterbacks.
The most active backup-y backup.
Okay.
Is Josh Johnson still around? Somebody brought that up yesterday.
He's as
a
of
free
last
agent,
year.
I believe.
Okay, so Brandon Allen, I think, currently has that crown of the backup-iest backup in the NFL.
But he was a rostered quarterback, wasn't he? Josh Johnson last year?
Yeah, he backed up Lamar Jackson in Baltimore.
Baltimore Ravens.
Exactly right.
Speaking of, the Titans signed Ravens legend James Prochet as well yesterday.
What's wrong with you? Why are you trolling Titans fans?
I wasn't trolling Titan fans. It was to show the hurt that he has caused me, and that you would hope that he is never involved in a offensive play, a trick play. The only thing I would like him to be involved in relating to a play would be maybe off-Broadway, Macbeth perhaps.
Burt put out a video yesterday that said, what was the phrasing of your tweet specifically?
Titans got a baller.
Titans got a baller, and it's James Prochet in a Wildcat formation throwing a pick to a Broncos defensive back.
It was bad. He threw in like quadruple coverage. He was like, hey, if I got a trick play, I'm going to throw this damn thing.
What's wrong with you?
Arm strength looked pretty good. He's 28 years old. He'll be 29 this season, early this season. And he last year caught 3 passes for 21 yards for the Browns. Obviously, his impact has come as a kick returner on special teams, or more specifically, a punt returner. He had 172 punt return yards with a long of 18 last year for the Browns.
I will say that he is a hard worker. No one puts out better off-season hill climbing videos than this dude, doing routes on hills, climbing hills, running hills. If the game was played on a non-flat level, if this game was played on hills, James Prochet would be all-pro.
Oh, you just thought of something fantastic. Think about that. If the 50-yard line was actually the summit of a giant hill, would that make football more fun?
Special edition. I feel like we have to break in breaking news coverage because there is something so mind-numbingly stupid that I cannot for the life of me understand it. Now, this just came out about 10 minutes ago that the Titans are switching their primary home uniforms to the light blue uniforms. Do we have any strong uniform opinions before I get to the dumb part of this? Because there is an exceedingly dumb part of this that the team snuck in there while announcing that they were switching the to light blue as the home primary uniforms.
I think you are so conditioned to hate everything that they do that you treat everything that they do like it is the dumbest thing. I have no problems with this. Like, what is your visceral reaction to this?
My visceral reaction is that they tried to pull a gotcha. They said, "Oh, look at this! We're announcing new home uniform colors as the new Titans. We're rebranding."
When did they say that?
They just put it out and snuck in there, Lucas, in the same release that they're not wearing the Oilers uniforms this year.
Oh, well, that stinks.
That's dumb. That's very dumb.
So the Texans get to wear them this year? Are they alternating?
What possible reason could they have? Is it just because they're tired of losing to the Houston Texans and having J.J. Watt get to point fingers at them on Twitter and say, "Ha ha, you suck"?
No one will get fired after that game this year. What if they're?
Are you sure?
What if they're? No, I'm not sure. What if they're trying to make a drought scenario where the first time that you do wear them again is in the new stadium? Not like that makes it any better now, but after 2 years of not seeing them, it would.
What possible reason could they have for not wearing the Oilers throwbacks?
Here's how the line reads on TennesseeTitans.com. With the focus on Titans blue in 2025 and into the future, the Titans will not be wearing their throwback Oilers uniforms this upcoming season. President Burke Nihill said the team will continue to pay tribute to players past and present with the light blue uniforms and highlight a color that has been a part of every uniform since 1960.
Yeah, I don't care about the switchback. I don't understand why they're not wearing the Oilers uniforms. There's, and I know nobody showed up to the Oilers game. Maybe that's why. Maybe they're going to wait until they're good again.
They definitely did not have a lot of success with the Oilers uniforms apart from the Falcons game.
And that's,
a couple seasons ago.
The Levis emergence that many of you now wish, I assume, never had happened.
I like the light blue. I
don't care about the light blue.
That's my, growing up watching the Titans, sure. That was the home jersey, was the light blue. But, yeah, no, that stinks. I would love to see the Oilers uniforms pop up at least once a year. It is the best throwback in the NFL, in my opinion.
It's the best thing that they've done in this stretch of terrible football for 3 years, and they're going to table it. They're going to shelf it until they're good again. I don't know. I guess they were a bit sore about how much fun people made of them for losing that badly at the end of the year in a sad game at the end of their season against the Houston Texans at home, where, again, they lost to the Texans in the Oilers uniform. So I hope it's not that. I hope it's not just that. I hope there are other reasons why they're doing that. Anyway, so Tim Boyle into the quarterback room. I will tell you what I do think it means, because they've got Brandon Allen, Will Levis, and Tim Boyle. The path to Cam Ward feels all but done until we actually know that he's going to be the Titans quarterback. I think it's okay for people to assume that that's the direction that they are planning to go in. And if they don't, then you can deal with them afterwards. I do think, Lucas, that it makes Will Levis an option to cut. And that is not something that I had considered before. That they are just going to continue to explore, because they're all three backups at this point. And Tim Boyle clearly brings something to the table, because it's not his football abilities, right? It's whatever he adds to a quarterback room beyond what he's capable of doing on the field, because if you just want to go off counting stats, the counting stats alone are horrendous. And again, 0 for 5 as a starting quarterback. I believe the Titans the Titans quarterback room when it comes to starts is now what? Like 7-29 or something awful?
Yeah. He's a practice squad quarterback. That's what he is. Will Levis can't be a practice squad quarterback. Will Levis will get snapped up immediately if he is a practice squad quarterback, right? You feel like you could still get something for Levis. There's no point to relegating him to the practice squad.
I would be stunned if they could not trade Will Levis. But if for whatever reason people look around and say, you know what, no, I saw it too last year. I don't want to give you a draft pick for that. I don't want to live that life, or at least expend draft capital to live that life, even if I plan to bring the best out of him or whatever you think you can get out of him at this point. Because Lucas, I don't know. I'm pretty comfortable saying that I don't think he's going to be a starting quarterback in a meaningful way for a while. I don't know how he rebounds without time spent like several years as a backup quarterback and earning a coaching staff's trust that he can be trusted to be out there with some of the decisions that he makes. If they don't get a draft pick for him, I think that they could cut him. And it's the same kind of conversation about Treylon Burks, right? Well, why is Treylon Burks still on the roster? Because it cut $4 million. It would cost you $4 million to cut him. And I don't know if you are so done with the Treylon Burks experience with the numbers that you currently have at the wide receiver position that you would just eat the $4 million to move on from him. But Levis is in a different situation. Levis has the potential for the number 1 overall pick at quarterback to come in here. And for them, as they continue this tour of we want to be the new Titans, clear out all the old, even the home uniform colors, and we'll change up that, and we'll rebrand this thing as much as we can to try and get the stink off of it. Are the dynamics not complicated enough that that cutting him would be off the table? I don't think it would be.
See, I don't think you would have to, and stick with me here, because I think the Titans are playing chess, not checkers, with the addition of Tim, a watched pot doesn't boil. So I think this is a classic ugly girl with a group of pretty girls scenario where the Titans have brought in someone who is unequivocally worse than Levis. So when teams watch these preseason games, when teams watch the Titans, they'll go, yeah, Tim Boyle was bad, but did you see Will?
You mean in comparison?
Yeah, Will didn't look that bad. Well, because like in high school, there was always a group of really pretty girls who had one woman who just didn't look on par with their level of attractiveness. That is what the Titans are doing with Tim Boyle. They're bringing someone in here to raise his attractive level up, so maybe somebody does go, I'd give a 6th-round pick for him. You remember Boyle was here 2 years ago? He was awful. Look how good Levis looked, man. I'd give them a 7th or give them a 6th to get a 7th back. I think the Titans are playing chess, not checkers.
So play Boyle in the third quarter of a preseason game.
Tim, watch pot doesn't boil.
Yes.
We heard your joke the first time.
You didn't laugh.
I appreciated it.
Oh, didn't I? I wonder why.
And then put Levis into the fourth quarter. I like that strategy.
A little mix-up.
We got some.
I think they tried that with Woodside a couple of years ago, and it worked. He had a couple of years afterwards.
I think he is still a Bengal. We got some insider information here. Austin Stanley texted us that per a former teammate of Tim Boyle's, he is a really good asset in game planning, and I had not seen this, that he was a Chad Brinker UDFA find in Green Bay.
He's in Green Bay a long time.
In 2016, so that's the connection.
Packers fans were so upset that I believe he got poached and went to the Bills. Packers fans were so upset they lost Tim Boyle, and then it turned into this.
Well, eight teams since 2018 is impressive.
Once you start to move around as a backup, it kind of starts a spiral. I mean, hell, look at how many teams Baker Mayfield and Sam Darnold play for, and those are former first-round picks.
He is an EKU product, not far from here.
Okay. Well, Tim Boyle, who's stopping this quarterback room? Coming up next, Adam Schefter is gaslighting Titans fans. We'll get into what he's saying about the number 1 overall pick coming up next. Welcome back to the show. We are fueled by the best hot chicken in the world, Hattie B's. We all went to a Hattie B's lunch yesterday. Shout out.
Ooh, and damn, it was good.
The Hattie B's on Charlotte. Is that the original? Or is it the one over here by us? Close to, we should have gone to one. Well, there's
in Midtown. There's Midtown. There's 5th and Broad. There's Charlotte. There's the factory at Franklin. There's Nashville Airport. There's even Nissan Stadium when the Titans are playing.
To be honest with you, I don't know if it would have mattered which one we went to because old Lucas and Clark in there could not navigate us around the station, let alone help me get to the correct destination.
There's 2 things that I'm never going to do again.
What's that?
1, ride in a car that Lucas is driving.
Well, he was second seat.
I know. And 2, ride in a car that Lucas is navigating for. Because that was one of the biggest embarrassments of 2 grown-ass men not being able to work in tandem to successfully navigate from Music Circle to the Hattie B's on Charlotte. It's crazy to me that you couldn't not just use your phone to get from the station to Charlotte and then have him take a left. We spent 25 minutes in the car yesterday listening to Robert's Ravens podcast about their quarterback depth chart there because Cooper Rush is apparently now backing up Lamar Jackson. And I know all of these things because I was in a car with a Ravens podcast for 25 minutes.
And then we had to drive back.
I was negligent in my duties. I will grant you that. I pulled up the Waze, and then I just kind of left it there and hoped we'd get there based on vibes, which we did.
I also got an important call in the middle of it, which kind of took my duties away from driving. It was hands-free.
There were a lot of factors.
We literally looped under an overpass and then got back on the highway, going the opposite direction on the same highway that we had just previously come from.
I was tasked with getting us there and being the navigational beacon, and then immediately dismissed that task and just assumed for some reason that Robert could get us there solo. So I accept that, but we got from point A to point B, and that's all that matters. We got our Hattie B's hot chicken.
We sure did, and you can too. It was excellent. Now, speaking of mixed signals, the Titans are sending mixed signals, but that's what they should be doing because they sent the massive contingent to Miami for the Cam Ward Pro Day, even though it's the Miami Pro Day, and Cam Ward is the quarterback who is at the Miami Pro Day. Tuesday, they started talking about, however they started talking about it, whether they were talking through the media, privately, that was made public, or however this information got out, somebody with the Titans organization told Adam Schefter that they are open for business. Quote, the tweet, the Titans have become increasingly impressed with Ward, and while they are expected to listen to offers for the number 1 overall pick, it would now take an even stronger package to acquire the draft's top selection. So, Cam Ward to the Titans is likely. Cam Ward to the Titans is not written in stone. Even if they are heading in that direction and are leaking that they are heading in that direction while still trying to gaslight the Browns or the Giants or the Raiders or anybody else basically in the top 10 to trading up or giving a better offer to trade up for that pick, they are sending mixed messages enough to where it's worth paying attention to. And then Adam Schefter goes on NFL Live yesterday on Wednesday and starts talking about another team that could potentially be in the business of offering a trade for the number 1 overall pick.
Which is why we're back to the point of what we do know. The Titans, to Lou's point, absolutely love Cam Ward. I think the Browns do too. I think the Giants like him too. So I think we're going to have a situation here over the next month where the Titans are planning to stay right where they are and take Cam Ward. That's the plan. Now it's up to one of these other teams, 2, Cleveland, 3, the Giants, maybe even 9 in New Orleans, to make some kind of offer that's compelling enough to move the Titans off the pick, which is not going to be easy to do.
Maybe 9 at New Orleans.
He's yelling at us.
Well,
he was hollering, dude, talking to us like a dog.
All right, have you seen those shows, though? You've got people trying to constantly talk over you all the time, and they're doing it on a delay.
But when
They
Schefter
are planning to stay right where they are.
I'm not leaving, Adam. Daggone, dude.
Like when Schefter's dropping knowledge about the number 1 overall pick, nobody's trying to jump in there and run all over
That's
him.
not true. I've seen Dan Orlovsky do it 100 times on Get Up.
Well, he's not there right now, is he? It just keeps escalating.
Here's me talking to my cats when I'm bringing groceries in, and I have the door open, because you don't want to have to keep opening your door. This is me to Winston.
To stay right where they are.
You better not move.
I just, the idea of one of your cats getting out of the house and you having to run down the street chasing them in Crocs.
He's got a path, man. He always cuts through the house. I got to run through people's backyards like I'm Van Wilder or Ferris Bueller.
So,
Saints have a lot of draft picks. They have 9 in the upcoming draft.
and they have number 9 in this
Number
current
9,
draft.
yes. And they have 2 3s, and they have 2 4s.
That extra 3 from the Marshawn Lattimore trade with the Commanders.
You don't have a 3. This is your second straight draft without a 3 because Will Levis first and L'Jarius Sneed second. So, while I understand that many of you out there within the sound of our voices are trying to manifest Cam Ward to the Tennessee Titans into existence, and while that is still the most likely outcome, it's a month. It's a long time. And these conversations will continue to be ongoing. Now, they should continue to send mixed signals, and they should continue to try and camouflage what they're going to do as much as humanly possible, even if, at the end of the day, they just say, bleep it, take the quarterback. And I think most people would be fine with that. In fact, I think their fan base is so conditioned now, Lucas, and you can react to this however you want to. I think their fan base is so conditioned on Cam Ward that if they don't take Cam Ward, people are going to freak, no matter who it is.
Titans fans, yeah.
Even the ones that wanted Shador or say I'd take either of them, like people were butthurt that they didn't get the opportunity to draft Joe Alt last year, like they had a choice.
Right. I think you'll always have a portion of people that were out on all these quarterbacks no matter what. Next year's class is better, and I'm glad they traded back to get more draft capital because this year's going to suck anyway. Like, there will be that percentage of people.
Yeah, there's like 5 of them still running around.
No, for sure.
There.
I mean, the majority of Titans fans, it feels like, have talked themselves into Cam Ward or been bought into Cam Ward since the beginning of this process, or at least a quarterback with the number 1 overall pick. Again, the thing that nobody, and I mean nobody, answers, the question nobody answers in this discussion. I saw Mike Mayock with the Rich Eisen show, former Raiders GM, former NFL Network analyst, saying it makes a ton of sense for the Titans to trade out of the number 1 pick. Mike Mayock or nobody else that has brought that up has answered the question of who plays quarterback. Somebody has to do it.
Levis.
Somebody has to do it for this team.
Your boy. He'll have a bigger meltdown than I did last year.
That's all I want. Like, it's fine. Let's talk about the trade back discussion. But it has to go hand in hand with the other discussion of, okay, who they weren't in on Sam Darnold.
Thomas Dimitroff said on 3HL at the Super Bowl that he presented them a plan in which Will Levis started again. So that's
and then didn't get the job.
That's fine. That's fine. But to be fair, we don't know if that's exclusively why he didn't get the job. We don't know what was in Mike Borgonzi. Burke Nihill came in here and talked about the binder, day-by-day binder that Mike Borgonzi presented in his pitch. I don't know what's on day 17.
No, we don't know.
On day 75. I don't know what's opening day for the NFL. It's opening day in baseball, by the way, and that concludes our MLB discussion
for the 2025 season.
That's right. Congratulations to all involved.
Talk to you at the College World Series.
Yeah, that's right. I think that it's interesting because, Bert, you found some audio yesterday from a Cleveland radio show, and the Titans are attending private workouts with Shador Sanders and with Cam Ward. Shador Sanders and Cam Ward are having private workouts with both the Titans and the Browns. Jimmy Haslam, Andrew Berry, and Kevin Stefanski are all reportedly attending Cam Ward's private workout with the Browns, the owner of the team. And Jimmy Haslam is involved. We know this. But if the owner of the team is involved in a private workout with the quarterback, Cleveland's still in play. Because if the owner decides, I mean, think about this, because it's Jimmy Haslam. If the owner decides that, oh, that's my next Deshaun, that guy could do exactly what we thought Deshaun was going to be able to do in the offense that Kevin Stefanski runs with this collection of roster talent that Andrew Berry has built. And if Jimmy Haslam wanders down there, loves Cam Ward, says, give up whatever you have to get him, why is that not feasible? They just played Deshaun Watson all last year until he got hurt because the owner wanted Deshaun Watson to play. Why is it unthinkable to say that Jimmy Haslam wouldn't hijack the draft and say, yeah, give up what you need to go get that guy?
Not unthinkable. Not unthinkable for Jimmy Haslam to say that. So I don't know what that breaking point is, at what point that becomes an offer the Titans simply can't refuse. And again, it comes down to level of conviction, which we've talked about. I guess you and I disagree on this, but in my opinion, there is no amount of first round or just draft capital, period, that is more valuable than a franchise quarterback. And if you believe he is your franchise quarterback, unless it is something astronomical.
Do you think they would still be messaging if they 100% with total conviction, without a shadow of a doubt, that this was the player to shepherd them into the future and to open the 2027 new Nissan Stadium with, and all these different things, that we would still be talking about the Browns' private work?
Yeah, no, it's fair.
I think his representation has not been given any definitive clarity on, hey, bud, we're taking you. Strap in.
Yeah, I think they're going to take Cam Ward, but they want to exercise every option, and that includes seeing if you can get a ridiculous offer for the number 1 overall pick, or a crazy one.
Yes.
From a team like the Browns or the Saints. It would be more expensive for the Saints, who have draft capital and who would be moving up from number 9, not number 2. But who's going to play quarterback? I mean, somebody has to answer that question.
Your boy.
All right.
You know what?
Going to be COVID-era attendance at Nissan Stadium this year.
I mean, that makes no difference to me. I'll be there one way or the other. But I want that for you. I wish that for you.
Oh, sure. Again, here we are again. Careful what you wish for, bud. You're the one that's going to be
you'll be on the worst
screaming
end of that.
about it.
That's fine. I'm going to bitch about it anyway. They're going to be their over-under is 5.5, Lucas. If they win 6 games, it's still going to be a terrible season. I mean, it'll be a better season, but it'll be a terrible season. Nothing about this is going to change appreciably the quality of play that I expect from the 2025 Tennessee Titans. But what I can get a kick out of is you melting down at the idea of Will Levis playing quarterback again. That delights me.
I don't think I'm alone.
Yeah, I get it. 615-737-1045 is how you jump in. Justin is in Nashville up next.
I'm good. How you doing?
Good.
So, talking about a franchise quarterback, got to get him. But the thing is, the way I look at it, I thought about this earlier, is Cam Ward better than the bottom half of the last, 15, 16 teams in the NFL for a quarterback franchise? You know what I mean? For a franchise quarterback.
I have no idea. I haven't seen him play a snap yet.
I mean, we don't know. It's just, I still think, I was like, dude, is he better than these guys and these guys? And I'm just like, you can't compare it yet, but it's just tough. I wish we could wait another year. There's not everybody talking about him from other teams. You know what I mean? When there's a good quarterback, every team's talking over him. You know what I mean? They know it. And this has been up and down. You know what I mean?
Not really over the last 2 months, but I see where you're coming from, Justin, because it was pretty. There wasn't a ton of clarity at the start of this process. And then as people finished their draft evaluations, their film evaluations, the narrative externally, teams know, right? Teams have done their draft prep. Teams will be done basically by next week. Everything, for the most part, beyond the private workouts and things like that, this is done by the first week of April. And even by the combine, teams have done the college study. They have to. That is a part of their preparation. Now, how much the media catches up to that, and by media, I mean Dan Orlovsky, who is a football player who breaks down tape and talks about it on the internet and on TV. Cosell had his done by the combine, and Greg was saying before the combine that he believed Cam worthy to be worthy of the number 1 overall pick, and that's held firm. And you've just seen the rest of football consuming media or football tape media catch up to that perspective, and now it seems consensus that Cam Ward is worthy of the number 1 overall pick. Here's the thing, though, that I will say in not defense, but in support of your argument, where nothing's more important than the franchise quarterback. If you get the Godfather offer that makes you have to say yes to it, then you have no other choice. But in the absence of that, I will support your argument by saying, if you are the Tennessee Titans and you have fired people because you are trying to get people who are specifically experts in the quarterback position, which is who you hired to be your next head coach, whether he is embattled or not heading into 2025, and there's reason to expect that he will be coming off a 3-14 first campaign, you cannot make all the changes that the new Tennessee Titans continue to make in service of trying to find exciting brands of offensive football to play and then be scared to take the quarterback with the quarterback expert as your coach. You cannot. If you're that team, if that's how you're run, then that is an indictment of everybody who's making decisions over there. If you are expressing that level of hesitancy for reasons that are not directly football related, about, I don't know, should we risk it all on this quarterback? No, your job is to make that quarterback collectively. And I'm not just talking about Callahan. I'm talking about everybody that they hired under Callahan.
Yeah.
Don't be the team with the quarterback expertise and then not be scared to draft the quarterback.
And I think it goes above the people above Callahan as well. We've talked about this. Chad Brinker can be on the same page as Amy Adams Strunk. Patience over panic. They could have it all laid out. But it's still quite the gamble to go it in a way that you feel like the 2025 results are not going to be good, and you're just going to be, if you're Chad Brinker, you're assured, well, we could pass on Cam Ward, we could trade back, get picks. Yeah, it's not going to be a good year, but we're building out this roster. Patience over panic. Okay, well, now you're the guy that's tied to 3 straight seasons of bad football. You going to take that gamble? That feels like a gamble, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
So and the argument that I'm tired of hearing is, well, they're going to suck anyway. They're going to suck in 2025 anyway, so trade back, get more picks for later. Like, they're not going to operate that way.
No. That's not how they operate.
That's not the discussion in there.
I get the initial thought process, but it's not realistic based on how organizations operate. And again, these are multi-billion-dollar organizations that make bad decisions all of the time. Look at the Titans. So it doesn't mean that they're guaranteed to get it right just because they're paid more to do these jobs than you are. But there is a process that many of them have, and there are many good and smart people who work in football organizations that can help, offset some of the people who are making bad decisions in organizations. And ultimately, you just try and fine-tune your process to where if you hit on the quarterback, it can cover up a lot of your problems. Nobody's going to care about all the different things that are wrong with the Titans, about the fact that they're not wearing the Oilers uniforms next year. If they're 7-10, people probably get naked in the streets.
I mean, teams go worst to first. Teams go worst to second in the division all the time. That doesn't mean that it's likely the Tennessee Titans will do that in 2025. It does mean that's what they're going to try to do, right?
Yes.
That is their approach here, is to win games, not lose them in 2025 for someone like Chad Brinker, who's now in his 3rd year, and Brian Callahan in his 2nd year.
Or at least, Lucas, it had better be, right? And they have expressed that. So there's no reason to think that they are disingenuous in that. I don't believe, again, I never believed that they were tanking last year. I believed that they were an awful football team. An awful football team. That had better be the approach. Because if it's not, I get that it's easier to hard reset a franchise by being bad for a period of time to get better. But I'm looking at teams like the Steelers and the Eagles, the Buccaneers, well-run franchises that operate at a highly competitive level almost year in and year out, and saying, no, you don't have to go to extremes to get back to a place of meaningfully competitive. 615-737-1045 is how you jump in. I'm excited about this next segment because this is a familiar voice to some of you who have been listening to the radio show since we started, it's 4 years ago now? I don't know how long. But Bruce Drenan had a hot rumor about the quarterback carousel that you're going to want to hear coming up next. Dawn's right. Veteran quarterback Tim Boyle coming to save Brian Callahan's job. If you need to save your financial mindset, if you need to get right where it comes to saving enough money to retire or when you should start to draw from Social Security, let me introduce you to the team that's there to put you on the right track and guide you through it. That's Trajan Wealth. Trajan Wealth, not just any financial firm. They're your partners in securing your financial future. They are more than just a fiduciary firm at Trajan Wealth. They're a family-owned, veteran-led team that puts your needs first. Let their decades of experience specializing in retirement planning and wealth management work for you. Trajan Wealth offers free consultations to help you develop your plan and your peace of mind. So call them today at 615-270-5000. That's 615-270-5000. Or visit them online at TrajanWealth.com. Advisory services offered through Trajan Wealth, LLC, an SEC-registered investment advisor. This is a paid advertisement.
We've got the trucks, all the trims, all the towing, all the bells and whistles, and all at Truck Month Savings. Two Rivers Ford is Ford Truck Central.
When I say the word absurd, what sports commentator comes to mind?
Absurd. Mad Dog. I love him.
You mean legend?
Oh, he is a legend.
Is he back there? Is he still back? We haven't. We haven't dusted him off in a while. He's got a beard. He looks like a silver fox, baby. How about Mad Dog?
Mel Kiper.
Mel Kiper, not absurd.
Yep. Ban the too high safety looks in the National Football League.
Absurd. That was specifically absurd.
Legend, but absurd.
Where does Bruce Drenan rank on the list of absurd? You want to remind the audience who Bruce Drenan is and why he has any semblance of a connection to our show whatsoever?
Oh, yeah. You're an idiot. That proves what an ignoramus you are. Get off our show, fair weather idiot.
That's Bruce Drenan.
He's a Cleveland sports commentator.
Ex-con.
What did he go to jail for again?
A commentator, if you will.
Beat me to it.
The way that
was right there.
Both of you ran to the microphone.
I swear to God, if I didn't have to do stuff back here, I'd have got that before you.
Quick on the draw.
Bruce Drenan, famous Cleveland commentator.
What did he go to prison for?
I think it was something.
It was like a gambling ring or something.
Oh, that's a cool crime.
Yeah, no.
I feel like you can't be mad at people for. Oh, you were just trying to be cool.
Either way, especially at that time, now where we're all degenerate gamblers and, scratching our necks if we can't get our DraftKings or FanDuel bets in on time.
Put Pete Rose in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, well, now that he's dead, I'm sure they will.
And that concludes our baseball talk for the day. Sorry.
No, for the season. that's more. That, I think, is more MLB than we've talked in 4 years. Bruce Drenan is at it again, all right? He's still doing work for a Cleveland outlet that I believe to be digital only. And he's got a show called The Bruce Drenan Show. And he gets on there. It's apparently once a week.
Important to note, it is once a week for 45 minutes. Okay, so it's a good gig if you can get it.
Well, I mean, I don't know what the return on investment is in The Bruce Drenan Show once a week for 45 minutes. But
I bet that's his wife's favorite day of the week. It's like, thank God Bruce is going to go do this show.
Well, imagine being married to this person, especially, and the visual is even better if you can find the video on the internet, when he's reporting something so absurd.
Get ready for this one. I got a pretty darn good source within the Browns organization. Couple.
Hear that?
I heard since our last show that part of the reason Myles Garrett was so willing to sign this extension for contract, money. The Browns are negotiating as we speak with the Dallas Cowboys for a trade for Dak Prescott. And Garrett got all giddy about it. Why, I don't know. We're not going anywhere with Prescott, even if they pull it off. Newsom's part of it, and draft picks. Now, Prescott has a hamstring injury as we speak, and he may not be ready for the start of training camp. But this comes from a couple of different sources. And take it for what it's worth. If it does come about, remember where you heard it first.
Why is he so much better at this than we are?
Why does he sound so Irish?
I was locked in the entire time. It's better if you watch it because he's a cartoon character. Like, it's so funny to see these dusty old radio people who have been behind microphones without cameras for their entire careers now have to do everything on camera because we all do. It's just unbelievable. And he's so much better at this than we are.
Can we please hear just the very opening exchange when he says, I've got a pretty darn good source?
It's like when the Irish headmaster at Hogwarts finds you smoking pot behind the dumpster.
I got a pretty darn good source.
Dang it, we got caught by Seamus. A pretty darn good source. He's like the
Professor McGonagall found you burning one, did she?
It's like the dude from Jaws. Like, 25 kids come into the water. Only 20 kids come out of the water. One of those kids was Dak Prescott.
You slowly turned redneck in that Irish accent.
Well, he can't help it. It's just in his nature.
The best thing to do after you've watched it a couple times is let it play through and then pause it at random moments. And the faces this guy makes.
Fantastic.
We talked about Kim Mulkey being a bad grandma. This guy would be an evil grandpa. Like, give you $1 to rake all his leaves in the front yard or something.
Oh, a cheap grandpa. Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Especially the grandpa that went to jail for gambling. That guy is saving all of his money
He'll
to
give
pay.
you the amount of money that would have been big money for him as a child in, the 30s. Grandpa, 50 cents don't get me anything.
50
Don't
cents.
get me started on inflation.
50 cents to redo my roof or something like that,
And a stick of gum.
All right, so we haven't talked about his report because it's nonsense.
Yeah, there is
Dak Prescott's cap hit is 78 million something.
You know how Twitter does this added context, like, hey, this is fake. There is the added context little blurb under the video tweeted out by Big Play, which is the outlet in Cleveland. And it says, this report has been debunked by multiple reporters with, my favorite part, real track records, including Jane Slater of NFL Network. Yeah, Andrew Siciliano got out there and said Dak Prescott is literally untradeable. That it's,
His contract is awful. And also, they have the worst contract already on their books in Deshaun Watson. Imagine him hearing that and thinking, I got it. I got the tip of the offseason. I got Dak Prescott being traded to the Browns and not even thinking twice about, oh my God, those two contracts alone would sink a team.
I told Buck yesterday, doesn't this seem like the kind of thing, like, someone in your circle is like telling your business? So you're like, I'm going to figure out who's doing this. I'm going to tell each person a ridiculous rumor and see where it gets out at.
Like Tyrion in Game of Thrones. You ever watch that?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Well, he leaks three different things to three of the different weasels in the what do they call it? The Red Keep, in the Red Keep, to try and find out who's diming on him to his sister.
Apparently, Schefter did say the Browns are leaning towards taking Abdul Carter.
He has said that.
With the number 2 overall pick.
He has said that.
So he even recanted his earlier statement in the offseason saying, remember, he said that the Shador was his pick to go at number 2. That has now changed.
No, not only did he say that.
He said that he was convinced, or the thing that he was most convinced of, and this was a month ago.
And before the combine.
Which is, fair that these things would change, but people are quick to, throw it in his face after the fact, as the internet will always do. He said that the thing he was most convinced about in this year's draft was that Cleveland was going quarterback at 2.
And probably what changed was that their opinion of the 2 quarterbacks, they were able to decipher which one they wanted. They would go quarterback at 2 if Cam Ward was available, but maybe not go 2 if it's Shador.
And there was nothing to say definitively before the combine that the Titans were taking Cam Ward, right? That was still very much up in the air.
Yeah.
So.
Great rumor. Well executed.
It's not a great rumor. It's a terrible rumor, but it's just the execution is chef's kiss.
Bruce so good.
He's just never changed. I want people to exist like that forever. All right. The SEC team in the Sweet 16 with the worst matchup. We've got basketball back in our lives. We'll talk about it coming up next.
Why, I don't know. We're not going anywhere with Preston.
So we went out, had a little team lunch at Hattie B's over on Charlotte Ave yesterday, and I'm right back here on Thursday craving Hattie B's again as we get close to lunch hour, about to be 11 o'clock, where doors will open at every Hattie B's location in Middle Tennessee, the Factory at Franklin, Lower Broadway, Melrose, Midtown, Nashville West, the Nashville Airport. Also, the Factory at Franklin doing breakfast Friday through Sunday, open at 7 a.m. You want to take the family there for a little hot chicken brunch over the weekend. Hattie B's is a family-run restaurant that serves up your favorite Southern food and authentic Nashville hot chicken. Yesterday, the pimento mac and cheese to go with the Southern greens, little medium chicken. Oh, it hit the spot, but you simply can't go wrong. Top it off with some banana pudding or peach cobbler, which, by the way, if you download the Hattie B's app today, you get a free dessert just by doing so, and you can order their Jumbo Wings special. That's right. 24 jumbo wings for $35 throughout the course of the NCAA tournament. Order for delivery today. Download the Hattie B's app and go to HattieB.com. It is 11 o'clock. Good morning from the 104.5 The Zone studios. I'm Lucas Panzica. The Titans made some moves on Wednesday, signing quarterback Tim Boyle. It is the 30-year-old's eighth stop in his NFL career. He was a UDFA in 2018 out of Eastern Kentucky to the Green Bay Packers, where current Titans president of football operations Chad Brinker was then working. The team also signed veteran wide receiver and punt returner James Prochet. The Titans announced today that they are switching things up when it comes to their primary home jersey color in 2025, going with the Titans blue. They'll be wearing the light blue at home this year and will not be wearing the throwback Oilers uniforms in 2025. The NCAA tournament resumes tonight with the Sweet 16. Starting in the East, BYU and Alabama tip off at 6:09 in Newark. Maryland versus Florida, Arizona versus Duke, and Arkansas versus Texas Tech make up the rest of the matchups. You can hear all the action courtesy of Westwood One right here on The Zone. It is opening day for most teams in the MLB. The Braves are at the Padres. First pitch at 3:10. For all your foundation repairs and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
So excited to get the men's NCAA tournament back underway. The women's has been hugely entertaining, too, and the University of Tennessee has two teams in the Sweet 16, both the men's and the women's brackets. But as we get ready for the men's Sweet 16 to get back underway, and, of course, Fall Network coverage will be on hand, we need to talk about which SEC team, because there's damn 7 of them left in the field, which of these SEC teams has the most difficult Sweet 16 matchup? So just to refresh where things stand in the bracket right now, not your bracket, but in the bracket, Auburn and Michigan, Ole Miss, Michigan State, Florida and Maryland, Texas Tech and Arkansas. Then you have Tennessee and Kentucky, Houston and Purdue, BYU and Alabama, and Duke and Arizona. There are a lot of fun matchups in this game. The only SEC on SEC crime that we have on hand is Tennessee and Kentucky right now. And by point spread, the biggest spread right now is Duke and Auburn, both 9.5 favorites over Arizona and Michigan, respectively.
I feel like most people's Final Four is probably intact. You had Louisville, right?
Yeah.
So, but no, unless you went like outside of the box, which, that wasn't, crazier things have happened than Louisville making the Final Four. They crashed out in the first round.
It's been a while, but
against Creighton. But unless you went kind of outside the box with it, your Final Four probably involved some variation of Auburn, Michigan State, Duke, or Alabama out of that region, right? Florida, St. John's would be the one.
St. John's did get a lot.
That's the one. That's probably the main bracket buster so far. Otherwise, pretty chalky.
So, of all these different SEC teams, the most unlikely of them, even though Lucas does not accept that it's a Cinderella, even though everybody in basketball continues to tell him it's a Cinderella.
I said it's the closest thing to a Cinderella,
no,
but
you fought me on that. You asked me the question. I listened to the show the other day, as a matter of fact.
It's the Cinderella of this year. It doesn't make it, come on.
You asked me what was the closest thing to a Cinderella that the tournament had left. I said Cal, and then you fought me about it for 10 minutes. So your resignation is all that I need to know that I was right.
I mean, just like it's not VCU, it's not St. Peter's. It's a loaded Arkansas roster with national championship Hall of Fame coach.
That's fine. Ask a better question. I can't help you. So, with 10 seed Arkansas, the Cinderella that's not really a Cinderella, and we can all understand why, being the team that is the most unlikely of these participants, BYU is also somebody or a program that you would put in here as being a bit of a surprise. And I would argue Ole Miss. Ole Miss Iowa State was one of the more shocking results of the first 2 rounds to me. It was lopsided. I didn't expect it.
How it played out.
Didn't expect that result, as far as the way that the game played out, that was the most surprising result to me. Ole Miss is a good basketball team, though. And we know this. We know that these are all good basketball teams because they play in the best conference in college basketball, the SEC, and that's why they represent nearly half the field remaining. As far as the toughest Sweet 16 matchup goes, I think it's Kentucky. I think Kentucky getting Tennessee a third straight time this season after they, I'm not going to say got away with sweeping them in the regular season because they beat them, and they beat them soundly. And they beat them on two of Tennessee's worst nights of the season, and that's fine. You take what you can get, and Kentucky's a quality team. There's a reason they're a 3 seed and Tennessee a 2. But I do think that drawing Tennessee a third time, and you've talked about this particular Tennessee game, or this particular Tennessee team, and all the reasons that you cited for having a pretty strong conviction about their ability to handle Kentucky here as a 4.5-point favorite in Indianapolis, Tennessee, I think Kentucky has the toughest draw.
Yeah, in terms of just the Sweet 16 matchup, not the region as a whole, right?
Yeah. The Sweets of the SEC teams that are remaining in the Sweet 16, I think that Kentucky has the most difficult challenge here. And you could argue Arkansas and Texas Tech, but I think Arkansas is a hell of a lot closer to Texas Tech for all the reasons that you just cited.
I get it. I mean, after you sweep a team, like if I was Kentucky, and I promise I don't say this just as a Tennessee alum, if I was Kentucky, I would not want to meet Tennessee again if it was the other way around. If Tennessee had swept Kentucky in the regular season, I would want to avoid Kentucky at all costs in the NCAA tournament. I would not feel great about the idea of beating a Kentucky team 3 times in 1 year, especially one that would have the resume that Tennessee does this year. So I get where you're coming from there, for sure. And Tennessee is doing a lot of the things that let them down in the Kentucky games better in the NCAA tournament, and that's hitting the 3. So I'm not going to really argue with you on that one. I look at that Alabama-BYU game, though. I don't think it's a tougher draw than Kentucky having to play Tennessee. Certainly, BYU a 6 seed after beating VCU and Wisconsin to get to the Sweet 16. But I just look at that style clash, and it's not really a clash because they're pretty similar. Both teams top 10 in Ken Pom offensive rating. Alabama just has this blistering pace that I don't think BYU is going to have too much trouble matching. And we talked about the over-under of that game being at 175.5.
Crazy.
There's going to be fireworks in that game. That's the first one, 6:09 tip-off on CBS. You can hear it here, courtesy of Westwood One. We'll be out at Fog Street today. Excited about that.
Who's we?
3HL and basically every other Cumulus media station in Nashville. We'll be broadcasting live from 3 to 6.
Oh, Bert.
3 to 7.
He was lumping us in again.
And yes, we will be there, supporting our friends and teammates, and going somewhere very cool because Fog Street Lawn Club has the best rooftop view of the city of Nashville.
Did you agree
over
to
here in the
support?
Gulch?
Not necessarily.
Yes,
but
you did.
Sounds like I will be there as well, supporting my teammates.
Whole gang will be there.
Weak.
That place is awesome.
What time do we have to be there?
I don't know. I'll probably swing by around 4 o'clock tonight.
I'll see you there, buddy, old pal.
Great food, great views, all the games. Be a good time.
Great views and great booze. They should use that. They should use that.
They have lawn bowling up there.
sure
They
that's
got
not,
axe throwing. It's a cool spot.
Axe throwing.
Oh, I'd love that. Buck, you should definitely go with us. You could be the axe retriever.
Have you ever done one of those axe throwing bars?
Yeah, who are you talking to?
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, yes, I've done. I own one.
Look at him. His ancestors threw axes. Let's stop talking.
My ancestors probably caught him, but
Caught him in the side of the head.
yeah, probably.
I have only done it once. I mean, it's fine. I don't get the overwhelming appeal though. Like of that as a novelty. Like why? Because that had a moment. There is no question that the axe throwing bar or venue had a moment, and I never really understood why it caught on the way that it did. Like it's fine.
I think it was right after COVID where we didn't get to do anything but fantasize about throwing axes inside all day. So when something like that popped up after COVID, everybody was like, "Oh hell yeah,
something to do."
I'll definitely go out and throw axes.
Oh, cool.
So come hang out with us tonight at Fog Street Lawn Club. We put it to a poll: which SEC team has the worst matchup tonight? And the majority of the audience voted Arkansas against Texas Tech, 44%.
Although, again, for all the reasons that Lucas just said, there's 5-star recruits all over that roster. Their best player is getting ready to come back and sounds like he's going to be available tonight. Or I think Cal has said he's going to be available tonight. And Arkansas should be able to give him a game. I'm looking forward to it. How are your brackets holding up?
Okay, I'm third in my bracket pool, so I'm within striking distance. My Final Four is still alive.
So in the one that I did for the show, Louisville is in my Final Four. For the bracket pool that I did, I've made 70, just over 70% of the picks correctly, which I bet is probably still below average because it's just been such a chalky year. So if you just went chalk through your bracket, you're probably holding up pretty well.
Yeah, as long as your champion is still alive, like
Right.
you're probably doing okay. Florida was the most popular, I think, championship pick just in the country, and they play a Maryland team. Did you know what the nickname is for Maryland's starting lineup?
No.
The Crab Five, apparently, is what they're called.
Oh, that's awesome.
It is awesome. And they need those people. They need those players because they get next to nothing from their bench. Maryland does. They got 2 points. 2 points in their second round matchup off the bench, Maryland. They got 13 in their opening round game, but that's because they were blowing out Grand Canyon and they kind of emptied the bench a little bit. So Maryland only getting 2 points in that dramatic buzzer-beating win against Colorado State off their bench, and they got to go up against a deep Florida team that has probably the best guard play in the country, the best individual guard
Well, they
in the country, and Walter Clayton. Yeah, no doubt.
It was just so good during that UConn game.
But the thing about Florida, Gainesville to Raleigh, North Carolina, back to Gainesville, out to San Francisco.
Yeah, that's tough.
Nobody's covered more miles than the Florida Gators. Gainesville to San Francisco to go play the second weekend. So I don't know if that'll weigh on them. I doubt it'll have too much of a factor. Their depth and talent will probably win out.
If Tennessee had gotten that 1 seed and it got shipped out west instead of playing in Lexington and Indianapolis, that would have definitely been a talking point.
Yeah, as far as 2 seeds are concerned, Tennessee really did get a good draw there. I mean, they were pushing for the 1 seed. I wanted them to get a 1 seed because I saw how the 2 seed, and they had to pay for that last year. They had to run into Zach Edey. And I wanted to avoid that kind of scenario. But
who is your Zach Edey? Who are you scared of?
No, you're right. I mean, and Houston is a matchup that, if you're going to go up against any of the 1 seeds, if you're Tennessee, I like that Houston matchup the most.
We have exhausted the conversation. There's still a month to go, basically, before the draft, but we've exhausted the conversation around the first round. We've talked only about the first round, at least as a show. Let's talk about options for the Titans, positional options for the Titans for the rest of the draft. And in particular, you're going to hear from Greg Cosell on who he believes to be the most well-rounded wide receiver prospect in this upcoming class. I'm Buck Reising. It's 104.5 The Zone. Welcome back to the show. We are fueled by Hattie B's Hot Chicken. 615-737-1045 is the number. Have you thought about the rest of your draft? Because you got 8 picks. You got to get a quarterback, you think. You're pretty sure. Feel pretty good about that. Should be, anyway. But what about the rest? Because how you view your offseason, I guess it depends from person to person. The way that I view your offseason, pretty simple. Building through the trenches, okay. Need to be league average as a unit. All right. Offensive line rebuild should be done. Like, this should be the unit that they have rebuilt, right? They've invested 2 first-round picks, a 4-year, $82 million contract into a left tackle, a $50 million contract into a center, $9 million for Kevin Zeitler. This should be it. Like, this is your offensive line, and we will judge it, as need be. Built through the trenches in free agency, but as Ben Solak noted on ESPN yesterday when he was talking about teams and the way that they approach their offseason has a notable lack of firepower. They need skill guys. Now, they signed James Prochet, who Bert is on the internet trolling Titans fans about because he didn't like him as a Raven. And Van Jefferson is a great local story, and Ravenwood High School, right?
Correct. Super Bowl champ with the Rams.
Yep. Great story. Awesome for him. Happy for his family. Glad he gets to be closer to them. Not an impact player at this stage of his career. That impact has to come through the draft. So it's not just Cam Ward. And it's not as important as Cam Ward. But if Cam Ward is to be successful, as we talked about yesterday, everything that you do had better be done in service of that number 1 overall draft pick to making sure that he succeeds. Because if you're going to invest that number 1 overall draft pick, and if you choose to do that instead of whatever trade offers might be out there, and that's your guy, that's fine. But you better get it right, and you better get it right around him. So now it becomes not just getting the quarterback right, but getting the wide receiver help right, and supplementing your offensive line depth and adding additional pass rushers to make sure that the quarterback has a defense that can get off the field on 3rd down and give him more opportunities. We haven't talked as a show a great deal about prospects not named Cam Ward or Shedeur Sanders. How are we feeling about the wide receiver draft? Because it doesn't really seem like there's consensus number 1 wide receiver talk. What it seems like there is that could be Tet McMillan of Arizona could be the number 1 wide receiver for this team. And Luther Burden could be the number 1 wide receiver for that team. But they are more scheme and deployment specific than just saying, no, that's a great player. I'll take Jamar Chase and he'll succeed anywhere. I asked Greg Cosell today because we did wide receivers and defensive backs. So Travis Hunter is both of those things. We talked about Travis Hunter, but we also talked about a lot of the top prospects at wide receiver, corner, and safety on today's podcast. And so I asked Greg, who's the most well-rounded wide receiver prospect that you're looking at through tape study?
I think there's 3 guys that stand out to me based on tape study that, and again, you know me, Buck, I can't sit here and say, well, they should be drafted in this order because they're different. I think who I'm speaking about is Tet McMillan, Matthew Golden, and Luther Burden.
Yeah.
And I think those guys, to me, fall into that category of the top 3 guys, whatever order you would like, depending on team, scheme, how you see them within your offense. Because coaches, as you know, think about scheme adaptability, whereas scouts tend to think more in terms of the measurables and those kinds of things and the traits. But I think I like McMillan more than some others because, he's certainly not Justin Jefferson, okay? No one is. I mean, I think it's pretty safe to say that Chase and Jefferson are the 2 best receivers in the NFL. And I don't want to have people come away from what I'm about to say as if, he thinks he's Justin Jefferson, because I'm not saying that. But I think he's closer stylistically to that than to Drake London, which is the comparison I've seen a lot. And I really like McMillan. I think that he's obviously, we know he's got good size. He was 6'4" and 1/8, 219. I guess at his pro day, he ran 4.55, which bothered a lot of people. But, I don't worry about that kind of thing. Look at someone like DeAndre Hopkins, who's obviously had a great career. When he was with Houston, people would probably have said he was one of the top 3 receivers in the game, correct? I mean, he was that kind of player. He ran a 4.57 or a 4.58. So I don't look at 4.55 for a 6'4" and an 8th receiver as really having a lot of meaning. But I would say that this guy has unbelievable hands. He's got an incredibly wide catching radius, great body control. He made tough catches both on the sideline and the middle of the field. And the thing that I really liked, and this is where I felt like I don't want to say that, I know something other people don't, but the thing that really stood out to me, he was so good, seamless, transitioning from receiver to run after catch. And I thought he really showed deceptive quickness. Like, that's where I think he's better than the Drake Londons, And like I said, he's not Justin Jefferson, but he was just really, really good in making that transition from receiver to run after catch. And I think that was a really important part of his game and a meaningful part of his game as he transitions to the league. And don't forget, and I had to learn this years ago, and I was wrong on a lot of guys, even though he's not a burner, just as a pure, you don't think, oh, he's going to run by people. Stride length is a trait. And it would not surprise me if at times he can present as a vertical dimension because of his stride length, his body control, and his high point ability. That makes him somewhat of a vertical dimension.
That is Greg Cosell of NFL Films. That's the latest episode, or a portion of the latest episode of The Install. It's available in your favorite podcast feed. It's available on 104.5 The Zone's YouTube channel, and you can be there in person on Friday, May the 2nd, less than 1 week removed from the NFL Draft, when Greg Cosell is breaking down likely Cam Ward is the number 1 overall pick, as well as whatever else the Titans do in that draft class. Tickets available at 1045thezone.com today.
Also, you can check out the install from today. It's already on YouTube. It's in the description of that YouTube video. So if you don't feel like looking for that Eventbrite page, I did the work for you. It's over there. I think it's worth noting that when we talk about guys as slot only or, he's a slot receiver, we said the exact same thing about Justin Jefferson and about A.J. Brown. The whole reason Justin Jefferson went after Jaylen Reagor is because no one believed that he could move outside. Everyone thought Justin Jefferson was only going to be a slot receiver.
Imagine thinking that today.
Right. It's crazy. So, when you hear people say, he's only a slot receiver. Oh, that's why Luther Burden's dropping. He's only a slot receiver. We don't know. You still don't know. You have to take everything with a grain of salt. So, my whole point is Emeka Egbuka from Ohio State, people are like, oh, he's a slot-only wide receiver. We don't know. You don't know. You don't know what team he's going to go to, how they view him, how he's going to be used. You can only extrapolate what we've seen from college.
Greg compared him to Amon-Ra St. Brown if he goes to the right team that deploys him in a similar way. Not a super flashy player. Yeah.
I don't disagree with that.
Not a super flashy player. Again, today's episode of The Install worth checking out for a variety of different reasons. Wide receivers, corners, and safeties on the podcast.
Report came out today that the Steelers' love for the Ohio State wide receiver is real. So good teams that have not had good offenses are thinking about using him in non-slot ways. So
he's a chain mover.
Right.
Like Luther Burden is a high-end chain mover. At least that's what he was at Missouri last year. No, Emeka Egbuka does that on a consistent down-out basis. Again, team fit, team scheme. Those things matter a great deal here, specifically for the wide receivers.
So that's Cosell talking about Tet McMillan, who obviously the Titans won't be in on. Matt Miller of ESPN put out a 7-round mock draft where he has McMillan as the first receiver not named Travis Hunter off the board, 6 overall to the Raiders. He doesn't have a receiver going after that until pick 18 with the Texas receiver Matthew Golden that had the best 40 time at the Combine.
Who's 18?
That would be Seattle. And then the next receiver after that, he has Luther Burden at 20 to the Broncos. Egbuka, he's got going 1 pick before the Titans in the 2nd round at 34 overall to the Giants. He has the Tennessee Titans, Matt Miller of ESPN, with the 35th pick in the draft, taking Tyler Booker, guard out of Alabama.
I like that.
For what it's worth, he does have Cam Ward, number 1 to the Titans. He says the Titans selected Ward in round 1, and now they must protect him. Even after signing left tackle Dan Moore Jr. in free agency and shifting J.C. Latham to right tackle, the Titans need help up front. Adding Booker to former first-rounder Peter Skoronski at guard could make Tennessee's line a strength, especially under O-line coach Bill Callahan's tutelage. Booker's combine workout was okay, but his tape shows a complete blocker with the toughness and instincts to be very good right away.
Dude's like a classic mauler, right? He's not a super athletic guard, but he's going to go out there and move people, help you in the run game. Bingo.
Zeitler Jr.
Yep, and
exactly.
That's just a one-year solution. Kevin Zeitler, he's going to be, 36 years old this season, but...
I also like that, though, right?
I love that.
Like Booker wouldn't have to start right away. He could get in NFL shape, gain some functional strength, shed
people
some
would poop
additional
themselves
pounds.
here because it's
a guard.
Round pick.
Right.
Yeah, it's a
He's
guard.
not going to start.
In this scenario, Egbuka's off the board. Luther Burden's off the board, right? Like those top-end receivers are off the board. For what it's worth, he's got Tyler Shuck with the first pick of the second round to the Browns out of Louisville. And he has Jackson Dart going 26 to the Rams in the first round.
Joe on YouTube says, don't want a guard at 35, not a backup guard. Buddy, you took one at 11. So
yeah, but that's... How is that a reason? That's not an argument against that, though.
But it should turn up a.
I think his rebuttal would be, I didn't want that either.
If it's a good enough guard, if it's the best player, take him.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. I mean, who's the best edge rusher on the board then at that point? Who's the best receiver on the board then at that point? I mean, he doesn't have a receiver going off the board after that until 47, Jaylen Noel out of Iowa State to the Cardinals. I mean, that's the...
Where's James Pierce?
Let's see where he's got James Pierce going. Don't see him here in the first round. Yeah, I don't see him in the first round. I'll let you know.
Control F.
Yeah, just search the name. This is like Lucas trying to navigate us
He's
to
going
Hattie
49 overall to the
Bengals.
Cincinnati Bengals.
49.
Would you rather? I mean, I guess that's the conversation. Is Booker a better guard than James Pierce as a pass rusher, right? So much so that he would drop, 15 more spots? 14 more spots after that?
Will H on the F&M Bank chat says, we can't come out of our first two picks with no edge or wide receiver.
I get the logic.
Yeah.
But yes, you can. If the player, whoever it is, whatever position it is higher on their draft board by a reasonable enough margin, they're going to take that player.
Yeah.
Grant Carthon, and I know that a lot of people will look back at this and say, well, that should have been one of the first signs that he was going to get fired or didn't know what he was doing or blah, 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 blah. Grant Carthon came into his first draft with us after the fact and had no idea that they picked, or at least not until somebody told him on the way up to the press conference afterwards, that the 2023 draft was all offensive players. They followed the board. They went positional strengths and best players at their respective positions. And people got bent out of shape about roll the dice and play the board. And it's more scientific than that. That's a bit casual, a bit of a casual approach, or at least a casual way to frame it. But they're going to follow their board. It's the whole conversation around the quarterback. If Cam Ward was the 15th best prospect on their board, then you can't take that player number one overall. Fair to expect that he's not.
Depends on that margin. Just how wide is that margin in this scenario between James Pierce Jr., who most directly addresses a need, or someone like Tyler Booker, who probably wouldn't be starting for you in 2025.
I don't want a wide receiver just for the sake of having one. If you overdraft that player, you're dumb.
And also think back, like if you drafted somewhere that sucks, 2 years from now, you'd be like, oh, and they wasted this pick on so-and-so. Like it just doesn't make any sense to take someone just to say you took a wide receiver.
And that's what a lot of people are going to do. And I'm not just making that about fans. That's a natural reaction. I get it. I also think that you need wide receiver help. I also think that you still need two pass rushers. I would be good with them drafting two wide receivers or two pass rushers just in this draft alone.
Jonathan says, can't dump more high resources at guard. Not right now anyway. Wide receiver or edge. Will H says your first two picks have to be starters this year.
Again, they don't.
It just depends on what that run on receivers looks like. That's going to be so fascinating in this draft. If it's Ted McMillan that goes in the top 10, and then, we wait until the late teens before someone like Burden or Matthew Golden goes off the board, that's where you'll probably see a run, right? If you do get to the early second round and there's a Luther Burden still available and there's an Egbuka still available and you draft a backup guard, then yeah, Titans fans are gonna be outraged. And
who cares? I mean,
I would say no. At that point, I'm like, dude, get somebody that can catch. When's the last time? I mean, you were banging the drum. When's the last time this team drafted a top 100 receiver? It was Traylon Burks.
No, I know.
If there's receivers on the board, you have to get somebody. If there's a receiver or an edge rusher that can help you on the board in the second round, you've got to address those positions.
You're going to tell Jim Harbaugh that? Jim Harbaugh's had a need a wide receiver. The Chargers have need a wide receiver for years, and they continue to draft offensive linemen and running backs because they are trying to do everything that they can in support of a quarterback who they think that can make wide receivers better. So if you draft a quarterback that you don't think can elevate the profile of what you've got at wide receiver, then there's probably a discussion to be had about that quarterback first and foremost. I think
Jim Harbaugh's need at receiver ain't as dire as this team's need at receiver.
What is the wide receiver room for the Chargers right now?
Not that great. Ladd McConkey
is better.
And Mike Williams right now.
Mike Williams is back.
Yeah, better than what the Titans got.
What's the former first-round pick, the TCU kid? What's his name?
Quentin Johnston's still there. He came on a little bit last year.
Yeah, but he has just awful drops.
Oh, no, it's not a good receiver room. Better than what the Titans have by a large margin.
More talented.
Which means better, yeah.
It can. Yeah. This was a more talented football team last year, and it was awful. So, yeah, let's not get caught up in the margins.
Joe says the Chargers drafted Quentin Johnston and Ladd McConkey back-to-back years. Harbaugh wasn't there when they drafted Johnston, but I get his point.
I bet they draft a guard and a running back this year in the first 2 rounds.
Yeah, Harbaugh also has a little more proof of concept to build a team, how he wants to build a team.
Sure, I don't care how it gets done as long as it's better. I don't care what they do as long as it's better. However it gets better, do that. It doesn't have to be wide receiver, edge, guard, or otherwise, but get better. And if their process says that the guard is better than the pass rushers or the wide receivers that might be in that area, then do not overdraft. And if you are comfortable trading back, then trade back. There's nothing to stop them from trading back in the second round. They still need a third-round pick. Or they could use one.
What do y'all think the fascination with is fixing this team in one offseason? Like, didn't they try that last year and it just didn't work? Like, it seems like everyone is like, well, we have to get this and we have to get this. You don't have to get anything. They are rebuilding this team.
Better.
Yeah, you have to set the foundation. You're not going to get everything you want for your birthday.
Titans fans are probably in different stages, depending on who you talk to, about where they think this team should be relative to their own expectations in 2025. There are people who tell you, well, we need to be pushing for the playoffs. It's been too long. I don't think anybody's going to argue that the Titans should win the division in 2025 or anything like that. There's plenty of more realistic people who are looking at this thing and saying, if they win 5 wins, if they get 5 wins, that's an improvement. That's an improvement. The worst team in football has a million different things that they have to get right. How many things do we definitively know that the Titans have locked in on their roster? You got a bunch of cornerbacks. You've got Jeff Simmons. You've got Lloyd Cushenberry. You've got your offensive line and your secondary. Beyond that, you need everything else. So however it is that you address those needs, and it's not just that you need starters. Again, the depth on this football team has sucked because these players are not going to be available for a full 18 weeks. So if you want to get back to reasonably competitive, you have to be realistic about how they're going to go about that. And every time Mike Borgonzi speaks about the way that he wants to build this football team, he talks about the trenches. So if they take a guard in the second round, whether it's 35 or they trade back and take a guard or whatever.
Depends on who's available. I mean, it depends. That's the crux of it. I agree.
Very much.
Can't take a receiver because you need a receiver.
Somehow falls out of the first round, yes, which I think is nonsense, but there are people who are mocking it, whether or not that's realistic or not. But if Luther Burden and the Booker kid are sitting at 35, then you take Luther Burden.
Yeah.
That's the conversation we're having here is all those players are off the board and there's a guard there. And you have a 36-year-old guard on a 1-year deal. Never advocated that hard for a guard in my life.
And also a dude who's thought of as the best guard in the class outside of tackles who would have to move to guard. Like, he's the best true guard in the class.
Coming up next, what's it going to take to trade out of number 1 if they are going to trade out of number 1? So we'll talk about the ridiculousness or the level of offer that it would be that we would require the Titans to get if they were to actually trade out of the number 1 overall pick. I'm Buck Reising. It's 104.5 The Zone. Welcome back to the show. We are fueled by Hattie B's Hot Chicken. If you want to jump in there, 615-737-1045 is the number if you would like to. Russell Wilson is back in our lives, and we do not have yet a new catchphrase for what he's going to say to Giants fans after every time he appears on a microphone. Let's go Hawks. Broncos country, let's ride. Steelers Nation? What did he do for the Steelers?
Yinzers.
No,
he never said Yinzers.
He doesn't know what that word is.
Yeah, I don't know what that word is.
I really don't either, to be honest with you. I just know it's generally something that people use to describe people from Pittsburgh. But Russell Wilson was introduced yesterday as a New York Giants quarterback, and he is talking about the expectation that he is coming into New York with. And so you'll hear from Russell Wilson on that here in just a few moments. But assuming that the Giants aren't out of the quarterback draft, right? Nope, none of us, at least none of the three of us, I don't know about the audience, but none of the three of us think that New York is above drafting a quarterback at 3 just because Russell Wilson and Jameis Winston and Tommy DeVito are there.
No, I don't think that.
So, with all of the different things that you've got going on in New York, is Russell Wilson what we had initially envisioned for a team like the Titans? A veteran stopgap quarterback, like the next-gen Joe Flacco, who has been doing this now for a couple of years.
Yeah.
What we thought Derek Carr could have been here.
Right. Like that Derek Carr is kind of who I picture. But yes, like that is he's the Kirk Cousins, right, of the New York Giants on a much, much smaller paycheck.
So, and Kirk, by the way, is going to be an interesting situation to see how that plays out, because right now it doesn't seem like Atlanta is getting any action on trying to trade for Kirk Cousins. I don't know who necessarily would trade for Kirk Cousins, but I know that the Giants won't because they now have Russell Wilson.
Do you expect to be the starter? You have to compete for that. Like, how do you view that?
Yeah, I expect to be a starter and come in here and be ready to rock and roll every day. I think to be able to lead. I think this team's really looking for somebody to lead them in every way in terms of the process. In the off season, during the season, our habits and our thought process and how we create a great winning culture, and how do we continue to establish that and to really build on the things that we do well and the things that we continue to need to do. And so I think the big part for me is and just try to. This might be my 14th year to be able to lead an amazing group of men that really have big hopes and goals and dreams and desires, and we all share the same goal. And so I think that's the best part about it is I get to be around a lot of extremely talented guys.
Russell Wilson expects to be the starter.
And then back to that Matt Miller 7-round mock draft. He does have the Giants taking Shedeur Sanders at number 3 overall.
In that best case. So let's do this. Oh, this is probably a better segment for a day when we don't have a topic, but isn't that the best case scenario for Shedeur? He goes into a place where he doesn't have to start right away. New York is miles away from being able to support a rookie quarterback.
I think that's kind of the benefit of just about anywhere he gets drafted, just the way the top 10 ended up landing. Like if he goes to the Raiders, he's got Geno. If he goes to the Saints, he's got Derek Carr.
If he goes to Cleveland, he's starting.
Probably, but
they're going to run Kenny Pickett out there in week 1.
It's not that I don't think he could. It's that maybe they want to prepare. Maybe they want to drag it along. You know what I mean? This is a lost year for Cleveland no matter what because of the Deshaun Watson contract. So maybe they try to levy that with him to say, like, hey, we don't need you to rush out there, get hurt, prove anything to anybody, lose confidence. Let Kenny start these first 4 games, and let's see where we're at. But I don't disagree with you. He could probably beat out Kenny Pickett in an outright quarterback competition. But if Cleveland was smart, which they've shown the propensity not to be, I could see where he could start, could not start, either way.
You're saying Shedeur's best case would be a Giant simply because he wouldn't have to start on day 1?
No, I would think that Raiders would also fit this bill because he could sit behind Geno. I would think that the Saints would fit this bill at 9 because they've got Carr. I would think that the Rams fit this bill at, where are they, 26?
There are
the Jets, Steelers. Steelers might be worst case scenario unless Aaron goes there.
Steelers are 21. Is that who you asked about? The Steelers?
Steelers are 21.
Yeah, they're 21.
No, the Rams are 26.
Rams are 26. Yeah. So, it's really hard for me to say Giants are best case scenario for any young quarterback. But, the concept of him sitting, whether it's New Orleans, Vegas,
sure,
does feel like best case scenario.
Let me rephrase then. if Shedeur Sanders is drafted in the top 10 to a bad team, New York, Vegas, the Jets are at 9?
No, 7.
Saints are at 9.
The Jets couldn't draft him at 7, could they? I mean, they could, I guess, but
only a 2-year deal for Fields.
Fields would be pissed.
Definitely need offensive line help.
Yeah. Need offensive line help. They need receivers. They need defense. I mean, I wonder if we should have that conversation about best case scenarios for these quarterbacks. Like, go through specific scenarios.
We'll do it when you're gone.
That is a good idea. Bookmark that. Someone write that
Thank
down.
you for that. I'll put it in the grid.
Yes.
Gonna call me to show prep on Monday while I'm in Palm Beach. Kick rocks. I am gonna be out, by the way, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday next week. Monday and Tuesday, I'm gonna, I guess, Zoom in from owners' meetings.
Thank you for your gracious opportunity to shower us with your love.
Yeah, no, I mean, you're going to need me. There's not going to be anything else to talk about. I mean, Lucas is going to be in tatters if Kentucky beats Tennessee.
Yeah.
And you're all you're going to have to do, the two of you are probably going to sit here because it's going to be the first time that I've left you unsupervised since we've gotten the band back together. There's no way that the two of you don't just sit here for 3 straight days and just do all of the bits that we would spread out for the rest of the week.
That's a great idea.
You're going to subject the audience to Oh No in one segment, followed by The Dumbest Thing in Sports, followed by Friday Fire on a Monday at 10:45. That's going to be the first hour.
Sounds like we got Monday in the books, dude. I love that. I love that idea.
If Tennessee loses to Kentucky, I will at least have a couple days to decompress from it. But then if they win and lose in the Elite Eight on Sunday, then I will be a wreck on Monday morning.
Yeah, that's reasonable.
Speaking of the Vols, Russell Wilson shared his thoughts on Jaylen Hyatt, if you'd like to hear those.
Yeah.
I talked to Jaylen Hyatt today a little bit, too. I just think that he's a guy that's been untapped in terms of what he knows he's capable of.
Breakout season for Jaylen Hyatt with Russie? Russie and Hussey?
People keep, and I don't know if it's just because there's an overwhelming amount of Giants fans in my mentions lately because of the Ward stuff, but the amount of pictures of Jaylen Hyatt, like beefed up Jaylen Hyatt, that keep popping up on my timeline. I guess he's gotten super buff in the offseason, as opposed to everything that TMZ keeps doing to Tua Tagovailoa because they keep tweeting out pictures of his dad bod and stuff like that. He's on a beach with Baker Mayfield and with their families, and they're just roasting Tua because look at him drinking a cocktail in the offseason.
Leave Tua alone.
Leave Tua alone.
Yeah, Jaylen Hyatt last year, man.
Is he a good player?
I don't know.
Or is he just in a bad spot? Because I don't know. I don't know what Jaylen Hyatt is. As a former, he's a third-round pick?
He was, third-round pick. He was pick number 73 in that 2023 draft. He caught his rookie year 23 passes for 373 yards. No touchdowns. Last year, played in 16 games, started only 3, caught 8 passes.
Yeah, that's awful.
For 62 yards. I mean, Tennessee could use a Jaylen Hyatt breakout year, for recruiting purposes, for that proof of concept of going from that offense.
Or Cedric Tillman.
To the NFL, or Cedric Tillman, who I think is who he is in Cleveland, a role player. I think he had a career high last year with the Browns.
In the same way that I'm going to reserve judgments on the Giants wide receivers, I'm probably going to back off the Browns wide receivers until they have at least average quarterback play.
Yeah. So, Tillman, he popped 339 yards, 3 touchdowns last year. But, yes, unlocking Jaylen Hyatt would definitely benefit the program about 3 hours east of us here.
The most impressive team left in the tournament. March Madness back upon us later this afternoon. By the way, you can go hang out with 3HL and Lucas at Fog Street Lawn Club, which is where?
Fog Street Lawn Club. It's right down the road from where we are here. It's in the Gulch. It's on Fog Street. And it's an awesome spot, incredible rooftop view, a lot to do, great pub food and beverages, TVs everywhere, and we'll all be hanging out, having a good time. So come out, bring your friends. Should be fun. First game is at 6:09. I love this comment.
Why are we going at 4?
3HL will be broadcasting from there. We'll be hanging out. Tyler Dial, you don't have to stay for 3 hours. Calm down. Nobody's controlling you here. It's okay.
I'm going to make him stay.
Tyler on the FNM Bank chat says, surprised Hyatt didn't have to call Russ's agent to talk to him.
Is Russ getting his office back? I saw somebody bring that up in the comments. That'd be great if the Giants gave Russell Wilson an office like he had for the Broncos before Sean Payton got there.
The really crappy thing for Jaylen is that he was behind Darius Slayton, who kind of does a lot of the same things as he does, and the Giants brought him back for $12 million a year. So now not only do they have Malik Neighbors, who they're once again going to force-feed targets, Darius Slayton is going to eat up all of Jalen Hyatt's snaps unless they're going to say, hey, Jaylen, run really fast in a straight line for us. Can you clear this out really
I wonder
quick?
what Malik Neighbors feels about working with a 36-year-old Russell Wilson at this point in his career.
Matt Miller here nails it, and the Giants draft Emeka Egbuka with the 34th pick, then, it is hard to picture a path forward for Jalen Hyatt up there.
The most impressive team left in the tournament. We'll talk about it next. Murfreesboro golfers, it's time to say goodbye to pain and hello to a better game with Burrow Chiropractic's revolutionary stem wave therapy. Stem wave therapy is a non-invasive, cutting-edge treatment designed to help golfers get back on the course pain-free. This advanced therapy uses sound waves to target and repair damaged tissue, providing natural, long-lasting relief. At Burrow Chiropractic, their expert team is dedicated to offering personalized care that caters to each individual's unique needs. Stem wave therapy is perfect for treating chronic pain, inflammation, and even old injuries, allowing golfers to swing with confidence and ease. Plus, Burrow Chiropractic is proud to be the official chiropractic provider for Middle Tennessee Athletics, ensuring their athletes stay in peak condition. Golfers can experience the benefits of stem wave therapy by visiting Burrow Chiropractic today. Call them at 615-410-7643. That's 615-410-7643, or check out their website at burrowchirotn.com.
It is 12:02. Good afternoon from the 104.5 The Zone studios. I'm Lucas Panzica. The Titans made two moves on Wednesday, signing 30-year-old quarterback Tim Boyle, the former EKU product, on his 8th team since his NFL career started as a UDFA in 2018. The team also signed veteran wide receiver and return man James Prochet. The Titans announced today that their primary jersey color at home in 2025 will be the light Titans blue. The team will not be wearing the Oilers throwbacks this coming season. The NCAA tournament resumes tonight with the Sweet 16, beginning in the East region. BYU and Bama tip off at 6:09 in Newark. Maryland versus Florida, Arizona versus Duke, Arkansas versus Texas Tech make up the rest of the matchups. You can hear all the action courtesy of Westwood One right here on The Zone. It is opening day for most teams in the MLB. The Braves are at the Padres at 3:10, and the Predators return home tonight to host the Blues at Bridgestone. Puck drop is at 7 p.m. In NFL draft news, potential top 3 pick and Penn State edge rusher Abdul Carter will not be working out at his upcoming pro day as he continues to recover from a shoulder injury sustained in the college football playoff. For all your foundation repairs and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Final hour on this Thursday. Thanks for stopping by, hanging out. We're happy to have you, Lucas, Burt, and me, until 1 o'clock today. The number 1 overall pick is currently in possession of the Tennessee Titans, and there's no real reason to expect that would change at any time in the near future. But as we have a month, a little less than a month, to go before the NFL draft actually goes down, before the first round of the NFL draft actually goes down, it is worth exploring what a Godfather offer might look like that would cause the Titans to have to trade the number 1 overall pick. Now, I guess there's nothing that makes them have to trade the number 1 overall pick, but if you get value that is so above and beyond what that number 1 overall pick is actually worth, especially because the team who would be trading up for the services of Cam Ward, one would expect, would be trading up for a quarterback, then you can up the ante on that price point a little bit. Adam Schefter on ESPN's NFL Live yesterday was talking about where things stand with the Titans right now and how that conversation could evolve in the next couple of weeks.
One moment.
Play?
Russell Wilson still talking about Jaylen Hyatt in the background.
Shut up, Russell.
Just been talking. Is he giving a full press conference in the background that's just been faded down?
Yeah, it's just been potted down. I never noticed it. So I was in my lunch break. I was eating my tuna. Enjoy Adam Schefter.
We've also heard the Titans general manager, Mike Borgonzi, say that he's open to anything. And so he's going to be listening to phone calls. It doesn't mean that the Giants will be able to make it up to 1. But I expect the Cleveland Browns and the New York Giants both to make calls. And let's see if there's a team that can come up with an offer that the Titans can't pass up. Yes, the Titans absolutely do like Cam Ward. Yes, they're ready to take him. But these teams have 1 month to try to change Tennessee's mind and make an offer compelling enough to move Tennessee, which has a ton of holes on its roster, off the number 1.
Shut up, Matt.
No, that's Louis Riddick, isn't it?
Oh, I thought it was Matt Miller.
It might be Matt Miller. Matt Miller was on that show.
He's trying to tell me that people don't cut off Adam Schefter when he's giving important information about the number 1 overall pick, and literally people are screaming over him all the time.
Adam.
Well, doesn't this sound like the build-up to like a terrible reality show?
But these teams have 1 month to try to change Tennessee's mind and make an offer.
All of these teams will be on one island.
Yeah, no, that terrible reality show is Hard Knocks.
I think that terrible reality show is owners' meetings.
No, you think it's going to... I wish it would be a reality show down there.
I would watch that. Sean McVay would get a lot of airtime. All the hot coaches would get a lot of airtime. Dave Canales from Carolina would get a lot of airtime. Who are some other good-looking coaches?
I don't know. What's your type?
Texans coach is good-looking.
Silver Fox?
No, I'm into younger Buff.
Pete Carroll, huh?
Yeah, I think
Pete Carroll for sure, Silver Fox.
Pete Carroll would be Buck Speed. That's who he would hang out with. And Vrabel, obviously.
Oh, yeah. Vrabel is at the top of that list.
What, Silver Fox list?
No, for you.
Oh, yeah.
Of the coaches you'd be attracted
See,
to.
once I struck out with the hot young coaches, I would then move probably to Mike Tomlin. I would move to like the elder statesman.
Those eyes are too intense.
Now, see, that's what I'm looking for. Give me that eye contact, baby. Cut the lights on.
No. You want to have on.
Cut your eyelids off.
Eye contact. Turn the lights on and see that staring through your soul.
That's what I'm looking for. That's what I need.
Intimacy.
Oh, God.
That's not intimacy. That's intensity.
I can't think of the Mike Tomlin saying that would be most apt here. Coming up short.
We want prisoners, not hostages, or volunteers. We want volunteers, not hostages.
Somebody said Andy Reid. I mean,
okay.
There's a tab on that website for you too.
What's that song called? Fat Boys Are Back. And we will never be whacked. Then Fat Boys are back.
No, I think you should continue to try and flesh out those, and they're not back.
We've been back, baby.
Patrick Mahomes is being said to have a dad body. He's a professional athlete and is in better physical condition than probably 80% of the country.
I'm surprised y'all didn't bring up LaFleur.
He kind of seems like a mean dad.
LaFleur?
Yeah, he kind of seems mean.
No, he feels like
lovely guy.
He feels like the stepdad that's too afraid to discipline you properly. Like that's
what he was with Rodgers.
He's been dating your mom for a while, and he's trying to stay on the kid's good side. So maybe the kid steals an answer key at school or something like that, and Matt's got to come down and give him some discipline, but just doesn't want to hit him too hard over the head just yet because he's still trying to get on the kid's good side as he cozies up to mom.
Honey, that's your thing. Why don't you go talk to him?
He's really your son.
Why do I always have to be the bad guy? You can just hear how that's... What were we even going to talk about here?
I don't know. The most impressive team in the tournament.
You always do this.
Anyway, owners' meetings, going to be fun next week. I'll be down in Palm Beach. This weekend, I'll be down in Palm Beach, make a little vacation out of it, and then do some work on Monday and Tuesday. All right. Who's the most impressive team left in the field as March Madness gets back underway this afternoon? We know that all 4 1 seeds remain. To me, the answer is Florida. Nobody has a better win so far than Florida does. Florida outlasting UConn, the two-time national champion. Even if UConn's roster isn't what it has been, an 8 and a 9 seed, or an 8 or a 9 seed, coming in to play a game like that is a pretty big jump from the 16 seed that Florida faced in the first round, right? Like your level of competition ups the ante right away. And 77-75 is what the final ended up being. It was a good back and forth between both teams. It looked like an opportunity that Florida could got, and most teams would got in a single elimination tournament that way. But Florida was able to outlast them. To me, Florida has been the most impressive, even as Auburn rebounded nicely.
I agree.
No pun intended.
That's the most impressive win by a 1 seed so far, without a doubt. Even if UConn was down from the last couple years, an 8 seed, it's still UConn. They still have that championship DNA, and they are not an easy out. They made that game tough as hell for Florida. You know who has had the best postseason, though, that we're just not talking about is Michigan. We have not even mentioned Michigan,
and a lot of people picked them as a first round upset, as a 5-12 upset.
I had them losing to UC San Diego. Now they had to escape that game in the first round. They won 68-65, but obviously won the Big Ten tournament, beat Maryland in the semifinal, Wisconsin in the championship game. Maybe that would have been a different story if Wisconsin hadn't upset Michigan State in their semifinal. Michigan did get routed by Michigan State in the last game of the regular season, but what they did against Texas A&M, I think should have turned some heads in the second round. 91-79, hanging 91 on that team, and most importantly, out-rebounding that team, out-rebounding them on the offensive glass, which is something almost nobody has done against A&M this year. The best offensive rebounding team in the country, even Tennessee, when they went down there and found a way to win at what was then the top 10 A&M team, got dominated on the offensive glass. So I'm so curious about this Auburn-Michigan matchup. Is that one? No, that's tomorrow. But Auburn went up against a really good Creighton team defensively. Janai Broome struggled to score around the rim, guarded by Ryan Kalkbrenner. Only had 8 points in that game. Michigan, I saw this, The Athletic had a great stat from College Basketball Analytics. Opponents are shooting 59% at the rim against Michigan. That is bottom 20% nationally. That's elite. And you look directly at that pair of 7-footers in Danny Wolf and Vlad Golden. That's who Janai Broome is going up against. Janai Broome, one of the best players in the country for Auburn. Their guards might have to win them this game, and they can. But if that happens, that's the most shocking upset of the tournament so far? What's more shocking, Cal and 10-seed Arkansas knocking off 2-seed St. John's, or would it be 5-seed Michigan beating 1-seed Auburn?
It would be Michigan.
Big Ten tournament champs.
For sure. I know. It should have been my coach, Dusty May.
But I do agree with you. Florida feels like it's playing better than anybody in the country right now. Although Cooper Flagg looks pretty healthy over there.
Well, that's what Chris on YouTube brings up, and you can interact with the show via the phones or the FNM Bank chat, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch. Like the video while you're there on YouTube if you're so inclined. Chris says, no love for Duke. Yeah, but Duke's just doing what they're supposed to do. They're supposed to beat Mount St. Mary's that way. They're supposed to beat Baylor that way. They have the best player in the country, and I know he's healthy, and there was some doubt about how healthy he was going to be, but he looks fine. So Duke doing what is expected.
You have to say,
read it on the air.
Who's it from?
It's not me. It's
no,
him.
I know. It would be impossible for it to be you.
Well, no, my microphone's on my laptop.
No, that came through a pot onto the air. That was not a computer near a microphone getting picked up. Who was it from? What's the content of the email?
It was from the assistant program director over at our sister station WTN, who was asking me about uploading podcasts. And he said, Bert, if we're posting a segmented piece of singular email, not a full show or an hour, where do we place our ads in the file, or where do we need to place them in a single subject file? And I sent him what to do, and he gave it a thumbs up. And that, because I have signed up for the Outlook that is not within my email browser, that is muted, it decided to ding me. So I'm going to have to figure out how to fix that.
That's Big Boss Bert right there in action. That's a peek behind the curtain.
Yeah, well, his email diligence and
it makes me so mad. I get it. It makes me madder than it makes you. I go through so many checks and balances, so nothing I do over here comes over. And then when I try to do one thing to help us, one email sent, and I get a thumbs up and it dings. Are you kidding me? It's already hard enough for me to have an expectation from people of, oh, he's the boss now. Look how dumb that guy sounds. And then I get a ding coming through on the air. Pisses me off.
Go to break. Welcome back to the show. We are fueled by Hattie B's Hot Chicken. 615-737-1045 is the number if you want to jump in there. We are going to get into ridiculous trade offers that would force the Titans to think about trading Cam Ward. They don't have to. They own the pick. But to make them think about it, what would have to be in play? We've got less than a month to go before the first round of the NFL draft goes down, and you're welcome to participate, by the way. 615-737-1045. Which team would you do a deal with that is in need of a quarterback service, and what would you want from that team to make it right? 615-737-1045 for the right to draft Cam Ward. There's a couple of different options that you can look at here. The last time the last time the number 1 overall pick was traded?
Yeah, the Bears and the Panthers.
Yes. So the Bears and the Panthers doing this deal makes 13 times since the merger, the NFL-AFL merger in 1967, 13 times has a number 1 overall draft pick been traded, including that deal. Now, for Carolina and Chicago, the Bears parlayed number 1 overall, who the Panthers came up to draft Bryce Young with in 2023, for wide receiver DJ Moore, 2 firsts, and 2 seconds. And those 3 additional picks they got across the next 3 drafts. So that's not just instant impact for them in 2023, but that's impact for them in 23, 24, and 25. So they're still reaping the benefits of trading that number 1 overall pick. The last time prior to 2023 was the Titans. John Robinson, his first year on the job, the Titans received, in trading away the number 1 overall pick, number 15 overall, a 2016 second-round pick, two 2016 second-round picks, a 2016 third-round pick, the 2017 first-round pick, a 2017 third-round pick. And for that, they gave the Rams number 1 overall and their 4th-round pick that year, which was number 113. So, do we think that the Titans are capable of getting anything close to that from the Browns, the Giants, the Raiders, or the Saints? Because those seem to be the part, and I know the Raiders haven't been talked about trading up for number 1 overall. But if you had to pick a team that hasn't been talked about that could, it would be Vegas, depending on what happens with Shedeur.
I have a question because Adam Schefter mentioned the Saints in that audio that we played from ESPN. I know that he's making a lot of money in New Orleans, but Derek Carr. If my question is always, okay, but who plays quarterback if you're trading from the number 1 overall pick?
Oh, my God. Can you imagine if they had the rug pulled out from them that way? Whoa.
If who had the rug pulled out from them?
Titans fans. If they
went from thinking we're going to draft Cam Ward number 1
to Derek Carr.
Derek Carr being involved in a trade. I actually think there is a population of Titans fans that would be very okay with it. There's a lot that wouldn't because they have convinced themselves of Cam Ward. That would be a very polarizing move. But
That's
it's
tough.
just something I'm floating out there. If the Saints were to have any discussions with the Titans about the number 1 overall pick, how much would Derek Carr have to be a part of that discussion, who is under contract for 2 more years in New Orleans? He has a cap hit of $20.4 million in 2025. That goes up to $69.2 in 2026. So it goes up to an astronomical number. He is currently 33 years old. I hear what you're plotting with Robert there. What are you doing? Why are we bringing up old stuff for? We're having a...
Just go through your analysis. I don't bother you when you and Robert are conversing.
But I hear you. I hear what you're trying to do to me here. We're having a perfectly normal
Just shut up and
conversation
do the show.
about the NFL
Don't
draft.
be so paranoid.
About what it would take to move the Titans off the number one
You've been
pick.
trying to get me out of here for 4 years, and I'm not as paranoid as you are.
I understand what I'm suggesting here could be considered outlandish to take on a $69 million cap hit in 2026 for Derek Carr, who will be 34 by then, 35. But it's just something I'm floating out there. I don't know why you got to bring up old stuff.
No, nobody knows what you're talking about.
No, they don't, but they're going to, and Robert plays it.
I'm not pulling it. If you think I'm doing what he wants to do, you're wrong.
Oh, thank you, Robert.
Just luring you into a trap here. Yelling at me for getting distracted during the radio show for things. He's making a whole big thing about what me and Robert are talking about.
I'm
while he's doing analysis.
What you want Robert to play.
That's not relevant to the audience that can't see us, dummy. All right. If the Titans trade, that's not what I want. If the Titans trade out of number one overall, that would be the noise that many people in Nashville made. Not for good things because Slay thought Brian Callahan saying nice things about Treylon Burks meant anything at all. Would you rather have Derek Carr in that scenario or Chris Olave? Because Olave is a wide receiver.
And way, way, way cheaper. Yeah.
They need wide receiver help. But he has missed a lot of time with injury, and specifically concussion.
Just last year, yeah. He missed half the season last year. He was pretty available before that, but yes. Back-to-back 1,000-yard seasons to start his career before last year's drop-off, largely due to health.
Q on YouTube says you can have my season tickets if they get Carr over Cam at this point.
Just something I'm throwing out there because Adam Schefter mentioned the Saints.
That's worse than me.
And we're talking about what it would take because somebody has to play quarterback if they're not going to draft Cam Ward.
Your boy. I don't hate that deal, though, if Derek Carr's included. In fact, Brian Callahan probably feel pretty good about that deal because that's a quarterback he knows and he's trying to save his job.
And if you're the Titans, what if a part of that deal is, yeah, but you gotta take on some of the rest of that contract?
It's fine. You got money. Again, Titans fans want nothing to do with this.
No, I'm saying to the Saints.
Oh, yeah, even better.
Yeah.
Like the Tannehill deal with Miami a couple of years ago. Okay, we'll pay him like $3 million to come play quarterback for us, and you'll pay the rest.
You get us a boatload of picks, you'll get your quarterback under Kellen Moore, and we'll get Derek Carr, but you got to pay a good chunk of that contract.
So, but you didn't answer my question. Would you rather have Chris Olave or Derek Carr? Because at that point, you still don't have an answer to who's playing quarterback, or you do have an answer to who's playing quarterback, but you don't feel good about it.
Oh, I would say, I feel weird.
Put your hatred of Will Levis aside.
I would say
deep-seated.
I don't hate Will Levis. My goodness, just because
Hatred.
I don't want Will Levis to be this team's starting quarterback in 2025, does not translate to
I'm going
hatred.
to catch him in a hot mic moment next time we're sitting in the green room.
I think I would take Derek Carr over Olave there because you'd be getting picks. It would give you a chance to address the receiver position, and somebody could play quarterback. He, again, is the picture of veteran stopgap. That's the person that pops into my mind is Derek Carr, someone who can be competent in that role. Not, with respect, Mason Rudolph or Jacoby Brissett. Starting caliber, veteran stopgap is Derek Carr at age 33, to me.
I'm just looking at these there's only been 3 trades of the number one overall pick since 2000.
Yeah, it doesn't happen often.
I mean, it doesn't happen at all, or hardly. 13 times since 1967. It almost never happens. And I'm just looking, but even to look at the last 3, like you're not, the Chargers and the Falcons for the Michael Vick number one overall pick. The Titans and the Rams for the Jared Goff number one overall pick. And then Chicago and Carolina with Bryce Young as the number one overall pick. I just don't think you're getting anything close to any of those trades, like value proposition-wise. Now, again, New York and Cleveland can get super desperate over the course of this last month. Both organizations have coaches and general managers trying to save their jobs. And one, in particular, Cleveland, has an owner that could throw a wild card into the mix. Like I said, if he is attending, Jimmy Haslam, and it's reported that he is attending this private workout with Cam Ward, then it's fair to expect that he at least wants to see it for himself before he makes a decision on what he wants his organization to do. And it doesn't matter what Barry and Stefanski want to do more than it does what Jimmy Haslam wants to do. And if Haslam says, trade the farm for that guy, I want him, the people who currently are employed by Jimmy Haslam have been compelled in the past to do what Jimmy Haslam wants.
Bubba on the F&M Bank chat says, why would the Titans want Derek Carr in a trade? Derek Carr hasn't really been a winning quarterback and would get Callahan fired.
Derek Carr, I think Cam Ward has the more potential to get Callahan fired than Derek Carr does.
Roger H. on the F&M Bank chat says, the Saints trade Carr, pick 9, 2025 second and third, and 2026 first and third. Titans go down to 9 and draft T-Mac, he says. That's his scenario.
T-Mac and, a 6'4" wide receiver with a quarterback who likes to throw stuff over the middle. You could do worse. Whoa. Oh, are you intrigued? or are you just bothering people?
I'm not intrigued. I braced myself when I said that, like something was going to happen, and then nobody had like a visceral reaction on the chat. The phones didn't light up.
You didn't read the chat.
I read the chat.
Speaking of the draft, this Abdul Carter situation is getting worse.
Yeah.
So you'll remember Abdul Carter, who has been talked about as possibly the best prospect in this draft, whether you're between Travis Hunter or Abdul Carter. He had the shoulder injury coming out of the college football playoff that we knew about. During the combine, he had a stress reaction. So not a fracture, but signs that could indicate that if things continued in his foot to go the way that they were going, that he might have a stress fracture at some point. So they discover a stress reaction in his foot at the combine. And his agent, one of the most famous agents doing it, is Drew Rosenhaus. Do you remember what Drew Rosenhaus said about Abdul Carter not participating in the combine workouts? 1, because no reason to do it, really. But 2, because of the stress reaction. I'll read you the direct tweet if you don't. From Drew Rosenhaus, quote, I couldn't be more confident that this, he's referencing the stress reaction, that this will be a non-factor where he's drafted. He will put on a show at his pro day. Well, the latest reporting is that Abdul Carter is not going to work out at his pro day. This is from Jonathan Jones at CBS. The current belief is that Penn State edge rusher Abdul Carter will not work out at tomorrow's pro day. Multiple league sources tell NFL on CBS Carter's a potential top 3 pick in April's draft, even after tests revealed a stress reaction in his right foot at the combine. His agent did him a disservice by saying that he would put on a show at his pro day, and now he's not working out for the pro day. And I get that new information may have become available that says this is probably not in your best interest. Like maybe you could do it, but then you're Xavier Restrepo, you're running a 40 with a hamstring, and you get a 4.8, and then people kill you for it.
Yeah, and his agent is Drew Rosenhaus, who is no stranger to representing number 1 picks.
I know.
Interesting, it's not the stress fracture, it seems, according to the reporting.
Reaction.
Reaction, yeah. Those two are very, very different. Thank you. But it is not the foot issue that is holding him out of pro day, according to Drew Rosenhaus, who told Adam Schefter it is because he is still finishing up rehab on the shoulder injury from the college football playoff.
Yeah, but again, that same agent said that he will put on a show.
No, for sure. It's not a good look. Not a good look.
So that's an agent doing his client a disservice.
He said
Where does Abdul Carter go? Abdul Carter's not making it to 4. Mike Vrabel would be salivating if Abdul Carter was there at 4. But there's no way, right? The player who is probably, when healthy, the best player in the draft is not going to end up being the 4th overall pick, is he? Surely not.
I wouldn't think so.
I know Adam Schefter is out there talking about that he thinks Abdul Carter and Cleveland could be a likely fit. But then again, to your point about the conversation that we would have here if the Titans did not draft Cam Ward number 1 overall, who's playing quarterback? Who the hell's playing quarterback for the Browns?
Yeah. Again, it's about his health in August, September, right? Not about his health in March, April. And if it is indeed, is it a positive that it's nothing?
Yeah, but it's about this has huge financial implications for him.
I know. I'm talking about if you're looking like, does this move you off, if you're the Browns and Cam Ward's off the board at 1, does this move you off drafting Abdul Carter number 2 overall if you are, like Adam Schefter said, in on Abdul Carter if it's not going to be Cam Ward? Does the fact that it's not the foot make it any better for you? Because the shoulder, we knew he sustained that shoulder injury. It happened in the Boise game.
Shoulder?
He played through it. He was phenomenal in that game despite the shoulder injury.
Which I appreciate.
Yeah, and then the foot thing, the stress reaction popped up during the combine. And that's when Drew Rosenhaus said, but don't worry, he's going to work out during his pro day. Well, Penn State's pro day is, what do we say, tomorrow? And he's not working out, but not because of the foot, because of the shoulder, something that happened in December. So does that make it any better for you that the foot doesn't seem to be the issue here? It's the shoulder. Okay, so what's that shoulder going to look like in September? So I don't know if it's going to be a huge deal for him in the top 4. It's something. It's not nothing, but I don't know that it's going to move him out of that range.
Who has the better quarterback room right now between the Browns and the Titans? Deshaun doesn't count.
Kenny Pickett or Will Levis is basically...
Or Brandon Allen or Tim Boyle.
Who else is there other than Pickett?
I think it's just Kenny Pickett right now.
Because they traded Dorian Thompson-Robinson.
Yeah, I don't think they have another quarterback under contract.
So it's just Pickett and Watson under contract.
I'll double check. I think
that is correct. Just 2 quarterbacks. I believe this conversation came up on 3HL yesterday, and Ron Slay picked the Cleveland Browns quarterback room. He would rather have
quarterback room.
He would rather have the Cleveland Browns quarterback room compared to ours currently.
Kenny Pickett has been a better starting quarterback than Will Levis has. I mean, I know that's a low bar, but
less disastrous for sure.
I think I agree with Slay that I would rather have a one-legged Deshaun Watson and Kenny Pickett than what's going on.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm with that.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean that they can roll that out in 2025 and save their jobs. Again, they are in job-saving mode, and the coach here probably is too. And frankly, Chad Brinker should be in too.
That's what I'm saying.
Chad Brinker has been involved in every one of these decisions, and they continue to get worse.
That's why I'm so still, I get the noise, and it's not been a slam dunk publicly, but this idea of them trading out and not taking Cam Ward, like if you're Chad Brinker, it's a hell of a gamble to assume that there's going to be enough patience for you now having been a part of what would be 3 straight terrible seasons.
615-737-1045 is the number. If you would like to join the discussion, you can do so. Let's go to Joe.
What's going on?
Hey.
So I wanted to, you guys are probably going to judge me for even having this opinion, but
probably.
So here's the thing. The Titans have made a few different moves at quarterback, right? And they've got some guys that maybe aren't that great. Will Levis is obviously better than everybody they've picked up. But I know all signs are pointing to Cam Ward, and that's what everybody's going to. But isn't it also possible the Titans are going Levis just because of the fact that they haven't really addressed the wide receiver room at all? And as far as offensively, all they've really done this offseason is beef up that offensive line. I mean, isn't it just as possible that they're just going to stick with Levis and Callahan just loses his job? And I'll leave you guys to talk about it.
Damn it.
What, are you trying to get him?
I was working and was like, I could get this guy.
Tried to hook him.
60 seconds on the clock before the music. Thank you for the call, Joe. I mean, is it possible? Is there a scenario where that exists?
I had to get somebody.
Are you done? I'm so mad.
He had to get somebody with the music, and it wasn't going to be Joe, so it had to be you. But that is what we're talking about with Brinker, right? That would be the gamble for Chad Brinker.
Are you putting – yeah. And that's as much on Chad Brinker because, again, Chad Brinker was here when Will Levis got drafted.
Yeah. So, okay, run it back with Levis. We'll do it next year, patience over panic. And then next offseason, Amy's sitting there. Yeah, but now interesting. Now we're on what? How many wins in the last 3 years with you in charge?
I am dying to she's not going to do media availability at the owners' meetings, but I have so many questions for who the hell is running, like who's actually making the decision. I know it's her team, and she has final say in over all things, right? The dreaded final say over everything. But like, I don't know, are they answering to Amy Adams Strunk right now? Are they? It's pretty convoluted, and Burke Nihill has talked about he has been empowered to speak. He's talked about this, empowered to speak on behalf of ownership. So I don't know who's actually making the decision as to whether Chad Brinker's doing his job correctly or not.
Remember what he said to you guys when he did that media appearance.
Breaker?
Yeah, before the Borgonzi introductory presser. He said, I'm as front-facing now as I've ever been, right?
Oh, yeah.
Something to that effect. Like, well, no, the accountability now, I have the final say. It's all out there. I am as front-facing now from an accountability perspective as I ever have been. So if that's followed up with just run it back with Levis, fill out the roster, another terrible season.
You might as well pack your bags now.
Like, we're acting like, okay, that means Callahan's gone. Okay, we're so sure that Brinker, the patience over panic, just that phrase is enough to keep Brinker through that?
He's just going to keep saying it, muttering.
I don't know, man.
Until somebody, drops the axe.
That's why they're going to draft Cam Ward number 1.
You better hope so. Last call for phone calls, if you've got them. I'm Buck Reising. It's 104.5 The Zone. Welcome back to the show. We are fueled by Hattie B's Hot Chicken, 615-737-1045. Last call for phone calls, if you got them. How do I pronounce the first one?
Freilich.
Freilich. Okay. Very
He's
good.
a monk in greater European area.
Well, the greater European area, I don't think is Jolton, Tennessee.
Jolton, Switzerland.
We'll find out together.
Close
What's
enough.
happening?
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yeah, I just called with a message to Amy Strong. If she wants to fill that new stadium up, she needs to draft Schefter and hire his daddy as a coach, and that'll fill it up. Then they can work on a team after that.
Okay, I appreciate the call.
Uh-huh.
He sounded sweet.
Yeah, nice man. Well, I disagree. And not because I think Shedor's a bad player or that Deion Sanders couldn't do this job, but because I think Schefter needs more around him than the Titans currently have, and that Schefter has a talent ceiling that would not allow him to out-talent or talent his way out of some of the situations that he's going to have to here while they continue to make this football team better. Because, yes, it would sell tickets for a period of time until they sucked again, and then nobody would care about Schefter Sanders, son of Deion Sanders. All the famous rappers that are showing up at Colorado games, or all the famous athletes that are showing up at Colorado games because they're good and because Deion is a presence. That doesn't happen if the Titans are 5-11 or 5-12 in that situation.
Well, some of his friends would show up, but wouldn't make you feel any better.
Until they started to suck. Yeah. It's like poor Jelly Roll watching the Titans-Jags game at the end of the year, and the Titans just, getting swept by Mac Jones. Didn't make you feel better that you got swept by Mac Jones because Jelly Roll was watching from the Titans radio suite.
Yeah, but he could probably give them a hell of a get-up speech. I'm here to tell y'all that last season is...
Do not make fun of this man's voice. He listens every day.
I'm not making fun of it. I love it. But who was the comedian?
He's going to come in here and I'm going to make it real awkward with you two.
No, I loved it.
You want smoke with Jelly Roll? He's been to jail. He's been shot.
Buck is the worst person on the planet. He is the dude that will pick a fight in a bar fight and be like, he did it, and then point at you.
Oh, no, that's not true. That is who I used to be for my college roommates. Like, they would pick a fight and then hide behind me because I'm taller than them.
I would pay money to watch Buck throw some limp-wristed punches.
Limp-wristed.
All I'm saying is Jelly gives great pump-up speeches.
He does. The windshield's bigger than the rear view.
There you go. There's someone out there right now with a size 12 foot and a size 8 shoe, and I'm here to tell you it gets better.
I'm the worst. I'm going to make you do your fake Jelly Roll for Jelly Roll.
That's not
I think he will actually. I think he will appreciate it. It is out of respect.
I'll have
Or he'll turn you over
one.
to one of his entourage, and you will disappear and never be seen from again.
Good.
Never be heard from again.
I'll be hanging out with his entourage.
Yeah, I don't think so. Eric is in Springfield next.
Hey guys, so I'm gonna be honest, this has nothing to do with sports, but I've been meaning to make this call for a while because every evening I get on my Instagram after making dinner and I see Mr. Lucas Panzica post his, delightful dinner he just made, and it makes me feel so bad about myself saying, and I think to myself, I'm such a bad chef. Because Lucas, at what point are you going to put the headset down and either open your own restaurant or just start making cooking videos? Because that food you post on your story almost, every other night on your Instagram is amazing, and I want to try it so bad. Thank you, guys.
Thank you for the call.
Thank you, buddy. It's mostly just pasta, different types of pasta.
I don't think I've seen him post anything but pasta.
Yeah, that's just what I do. The other night it was a risotto, so I appreciate it. Maybe we'll do something like that, and Bert will be my sous chef.
He is being very modest. This dude literally cured hog jaw in his basement, hanging from cheesecloth for what, like 6 weeks?
Yeah, a few weeks.
Then took it down, cut it down, made a little pasta out of it.
Made a namatriciana.
What did that smell like in your basement?
I mean, like cured meat,
hog jaw.
Bert supplied the hog jaw.
My dad killed some pigs.
Yeah, and he brought it over to me. I'd always wanted to try it. I bought some curing salts. I did the whole process, and it kind of turned out awesome. I was so thrilled with how it turned out.
Have you seen the Family Guy episode with Peter Griffin and Bill Clinton?
No.
Where they're smoking pot together, riding around in Clinton's limo. They roll down the window. They're driving past a farm. There's a pig in the yard, and Bill Clinton just looks at Peter Griffin very high and says, "We could We could eat that pig. That's what I picture you two. Riding around East Nashville, looking at pig farms, being like, we could eat that pig.
I don't need that. My daddy raises pigs. If you need some pigs, deer, cow, exotic meats. We've had emu before. You want emu? I can get you an emu.
Those feel like they would be tough to, get one over on. Don't they have like giant talons?
You got to throw a bag over their head.
Oh, Jesus.
I bet Buffalo has raised some pigs in his time.
I can't get no buffalo. Oh, you want buffalo on the phone line?
What's up, Buffalo?
It took me a mile and a half down Coles Ferry to figure out the Buffalo slot machines reference. Good job.
Hey, you got it, man. No problem.
So let's murder some Nashville SC players' last names. Okay, we had 7 different players that got goals. We had 7 assists from different players. We had 3 clean sheets, 67%. We've had the fewest goals against in the Eastern Conference, tied with 3. Hanny leads with 3 goal contributions, 1 goal to assist. Hanny also 12 key passes. I mean, Hanny's looking pretty good this year. Also, stuff from Quazem, of course, Schaff, Boyd, Yazbek. The team is looking awesome. I think they're 4th in their conference. We got the best start of the entire team. This year is the best.
That's 60 seconds on the clock, Buffalo, but I appreciate that. Nashville SC off to a good start.
Off to the best start in club history. He was referencing Ahmed Qasim, who had 2 goals and 2 starts before having to be pulled with a stomach bug before Saturday's match, but he's back on the practice field today. Mukhtar pulling the strings. This team's fun to watch, man. A big game Saturday against Cincinnati at Geodis Park.
All right, we are out of time to do polls, but if we did do polls, the polls would be presented by Two Rivers Ford, the South's most trusted Ford dealer. Final days of Truck Month going on right now. Get out to Two Rivers Ford in Mount Juliet. Get you a new F-150. Get the best financing and the best prices at tworiversford.com. All right, so you're going to make us go to this thing with you?
Fog Street Lawn Club tonight. Come hang out. It'll be fun.
3HL going to be broadcasting live out there. Tournament action back.
Cool spot.
Up and running. Prime time tonight at 7 p.m. I'll see you there after the hoops.